to mystery and horror, the air itself is filled with monsters.
Children of the night, what music they make. He's alive! He's alive!
Well, hello, all you monster fiends, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive, factoid-filled episode exploring Hollywood's most famous monsters. I am your mistress of ceremony, Sam, and I'm joined, as always, by Dan from Bleeding Marvelous. Say hello, Dan.
To you, I am an abomination. But to me, I simply am. Hiya!
Hi. Well, that was beautiful.
But was it?
Poetic.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm not going to talk like that the whole way through. I can't do it.
Country sounds of Sam and Dan.
That's how I felt after watching this movie. I was like, oh my God, is the romantic era like finally catching up with us?
Radio 5 present.
And then we actually talk and it's like, fuck, what's that?
Yeah. This isn't what I signed up for.
What? Hi, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Monsters Up North podcast this week. We are doing Frankenstein. I can't even come up with something witty or clever beforehand. This is the movie this is the character we are yet to cover, but it's not that Frankenstein we're doing.
Nope.
I think we made it very clear last week. We are doing the Guillermo del Toro's. I can't say it. I'm so
GDT.
sorry.
We're going to
Yes.
do
GDT's Frankenstein that hit Netflix 2 weeks ago.
Out that, yeah.
So we're pretty on it.
For us, yeah.
Yes.
Last
Especially
time
when
on it was Nosferatu, and
that's see how that went. We were like, never again. But we had to with this one because we just wanted to talk about it. It's not like we wanted to be part of the fanfare. We just wanted to I think we wanted our therapy session of how we felt. Yeah, getting it all out. Yeah, it's weird because we do movies from the 1930s, so
yeah. We have a mixed bag going on, so this is a new one, the 1850s, I think this was based in.
yes. Well, I'll do the disclaimer and then we will crack on open Frankenstein because we have a shit ton to say. Sure. Everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and it's our opinions alone. And if you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on our socials. Or you can join us in the comment section where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong, because we can all agree to disagree in fandom. So, let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of the nerdism.
Don't be a dick.
What she said.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't do it. Don't.
Mm-mm.
Right. Sit back, this is a lengthy one.
All right.
Ready? Frankenstein is the 2025 Gothic drama produced, written, and directed by Guillermo del Toro, based on Mary Shelley's 1818 novel Frankenstein or The Modern Prometheus. The film stars Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein, Jacob Elordi as the creature, and Mia Goth as Elizabeth, with Felix Kammerer, David Bradley, Lars Mikkelsen, Christian Comrie, Charles Dance, and Christoph Waltz. The story follows the life of Victor Frankenstein, an egotistical scientist whose experiment in creating new life results in dangerous consequences when his monstrous creature comes to life. What manner of creature is that? What manner of devil made him? As Monsters Up North brings you Frankenstein. Dun, dun, dun. I haven't done one of them for ages.
Frankenstein. Like Rammstein.
But Frankenstein.
Too hot. Too hot. Yeah, that's not the word it says, but you know. Till Lindemann and Fred Gwynne do look alike, and Fred Gwynne played Herman. So if we're going to go down a tedious link, I'm going to stick with that one.
And you are very good at tedious links. Very, very good at them.
What can I say? It was a gift, not a burden.
Oh my God, what a movie. What a movie. We have been waiting for this for... Well, Guillermo del Toro has been creating this for his entire life.
Correct. Every movie he's ever made actually is Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And he openly admits that. The amount of interviews I've seen with him on YouTube recently about this movie, just insane, about how he said, right, Hellboy, Blade 2, especially Blade 2, he focuses on the Jarek Novak character. You know, we're talking about Bros here, right? For those of you that don't know, Bros was a band in the 80s that I grew up with, and they were like cheesy. Him and his brother, Matt and Luke Goss, were in a band called Bros. They went on to, one became an actor, one became a singer / entrepreneur type person. And I think it's Luke that is the actor and Matt's the singer.
I
Now,
always get confused.
Luke went on to star in Hellboy 2. He played Prince Nuada. Ooh, look at that pulling me out. Pulling that out. Quite impressed with that. And then he also starred as Novak in Blade 2. Now, Blade 2 itself is an epic movie when you look at the cast list on that. I mean, the fact he even got Danny John Jules to play a vampire.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Blade 2 is really good. I really like it.
It's my favourite Blade movie because it is like 3 is ridiculous because it's got Ryan Reynolds in it, and Ryan Reynolds just makes a film and posing.
3 is CGI eyes. Have you seen that? At the end, when Blade's on the table, Wesley Snipes refused to open his eyes.
Yep.
CGI eyes.
CGI eyes. Yeah, it's the Jarek Novak storyline was that his dad created him to be this thing, and he didn't live up to the expectations, so he got thrown away. Blah blah blah. So it is technically Frankenstein, but obviously done in a different
manner. He is the brother he has played Frankenstein. There is a Frankenstein with him in, I think it was like a made for TV. I could be wrong on that, but the design of him is very similar to the design that GDT is used. I'm not even going to try anymore. Is used for this. It's very similar. When people will compare and they're like, oh, there's some similarities there. But with Del Toro, everything is so meticulously worked out. There's rhyme and reasons behind everything. Yeah, we've been expecting this for, oh God, I was getting really confused because there was a lot of, we knew Del Toro was going to be making a Frankenstein movie, but then there was pictures getting released of Christian Bale and his Frankenstein, and I generally thought the 2 and 2 went in hand. It's not. It's The Bride that's going to be released later this year or next year.
Maggie Gyllenhaal, isn't it? It's her movie. Yeah. I've lost my train of thought then. Go back. Jesus Christ.
You can see. You literally, the Windows sound.
Just turn me off and on again. Like, reboot me. Christ. Yeah, no, the whole thing with this is what I was going to lead into, was that he loves to use the same characters, the same actors over and over again, which is a consistent theme through his movies, which is when you get to this one, it was an incredible surprise because you didn't have his usual cast. I think maybe he used Christopher Waltz once.
Ralph Innocent.
Nightmare Alley. He was in Nightmare Alley, I think, Christopher Waltz. And then you've got Mia Goth is brand new. He wrote the part for her. Well, not wrote the part because Elizabeth is in the books, but he wrote the part with her in mind. Same with Oscars. He did not audition anybody for Elizabeth or Victor because they're the 2 people he wanted to play them, full stop. He originally cast, which when I found this out, my brain remembered it, but I forgot I knew it.
Same here.
The fact that Andrew Garfield was set to play the monster. Now, Andrew Garfield's not very tall from my knowledge. You got to remember, Jacob Elordi is 6'4".
He's a fucking giant.
He's 6'4", and Oscar Isaacs is only about 5'10", 5'7", 5'10", which I say only, it's perfectly normal height, but when compared to 6'4", the beauty of that dynamic works
The
so much in
contrast
his
of it.
favor because it makes Victor look tiny. It makes
Yeah.
Oscar so small. But yeah,
I
these are new people, and
yeah.
because Jacob had to step in when Andrew dropped out. Now, I don't wish this for Andrew, but you know when you think sometimes in your career you fuck up. I feel
Yeah.
like Andrew may sit back on this one and go, "Fuck, I shit the bed here."
I have no doubt that whatever we would have gotten with Andrew Garfield would have been brilliant. I have no doubt in that at all, because I have no doubt in Del Toro's ability. But there is something about Jacob that's like, and when I found out who he was, my mind melted.
The penis exploding boy from Mortuary Collection.
Which we literally did earlier this year.
He gave birth
Um,
out of his penis. No, that's his elbow.
yes.
That's his elbow. He gave birth out of his penis.
It was like the other day, we on Nerdy Up North we did John Candy movies, and I watched Uncle Buck,
Yeah.
and there was his girlfriend in it, and I'm looking at his girlfriend going, how do I know you? How do I know this face? And then she scowled, and I went, oh my God, it's Meredith's therapist from Grey's Anatomy. And then Paul was like, it's also Gladiator and Weapons. I was like, what?
Yep.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So yes, I had some mind melting experiences recently. Also, the fact that Mia Goth plays two characters in this blew my mind.
And do you know what the only difference is between those two characters? Eyebrows.
They do make a difference, mind.
Claire has eyebrows, and they built her a slightly more predominant ridge just over her eyebrows,
Mm.
so she doesn't look like
Yeah,
me.
there's a similarity, but not full on look alike.
Yeah, basically, when he got Jacob to play the role, he was more interested in Jacob's take of the creature because Jacob originally thought it was a piss take when he got the
Oh,
call.
wow.
He got it was either an email or a call he got from his agent saying, "Would you be interested?" He's like, "Fucking behave." What, typical Aussie. It was like, fuck off, you're having a laugh. And they were like, "No, Del Toro's really interested in seeing you for the part. You're like second on his list. You really need to get this shit sorted and
Mm-hmm.
go." So they had like this epic meltdown in the scrabble of time from when Garfield dropped out to when the filming was supposed to start to get Jacob up to par,
Mm-hmm.
or up to speed at least. And I think they had a very limited, it was only like 4 months or something to
Wow.
get costumes. They had to completely redesign the monster makeup
Yeah.
for him. And we'll go into that later. But like there was just so many things that they had to redo to get it to where it needed to be for the start of production. And one thing I did see with Guillermo del Toro on his interviews, the only movie he's ever had two units on when he's filming. Now, just to break it down a little bit, two units is usually you have a director in one unit, and then you have like an assistant director who takes out another unit to do any backup shots, any what the main director would see
Mm-hmm.
as maybe secondary filming that's not as important as the main driven storyline. So that any smaller like view shots, like where they pan across and things like that, they just standard shots. He said the only film he's ever done that on is Mimic, and that's the one he didn't have the control over because the Weinsteins took the control off. They come in and they put too much in, and that was also the movie Mira Sorvino had loads of trouble on with them
Oh
as
my God. Yeah.
And so he said that was the movie for him that was his biggest learning curve on how to direct a film, produce a film, deal with the studios. Do you know what I mean? And he said
Yeah.
that was his turning point with how he decided to direct from then on. So he said, after that time, I never had a second unit because I never had the control over that second unit and what they were doing in
Mm-hmm.
my films. And he said, I know that makes me a control freak, but me here, I get the best out of my actors when I'm sitting here watching them, and we print and we cut after every scene so I can go back and watch it and see if it worked. So
Mm-hmm.
then we have all these things banked and banked and banked and banked
Yeah.
today. He said, whereas I send someone off to do a second shot, they're not going to be at my level of quality. They're not going to bring out, because if you see any of the actors that work with him, Doug Jones, like the amount of interviews I've seen with like Oscars and Jacob and everybody like recently, they all say the same thing. He will not let you stay in that dark place. You literally become you are you the minute he shouts cut. You're not Victor anymore. You're Oscars. And one of the things they got loads of trouble with was because Guillermo and Oscars were speaking predominantly French, Spanish to each other, sorry, because Mexican. They were telling dirty jokes and really bad, like filthy toilet gallows humor jokes to each other in Spanish. And obviously, the majority of the set weren't fluent in Spanish, so they were like, if we ever got caught, we'd be in so much trouble for the things that we were saying. But it helped us lighten the mood, and everybody was laughing because we were laughing, and it just helped us relax into the parts that we needed to be. We were all in really good headspaces every time we went into the film. But with Jacob, he loved the idea that Jacob was a relative unknown, like he hadn't worked much in the mainstream, because he said it gave him the innocence that the monster needed, the creature needed, because Jacob was in fact as innocent in the industry as the monster is in the story. So that's why he loved like that pure curiosity. And the thing about Jacob was, when he was on set, he said, I hated going to sleep, having to go home and go to sleep, because I just wanted to be on the set. I wanted to watch everything at all times.
Yeah, Del Toro said he was there every day. Even if he wasn't in a scene, he was there every day learning, making sure he didn't miss anything. And what I love seeing behind the scenes is Del Toro and his little notebook, and him having to go back and reference his notebook, because when we say this has been in his life forever, literally from 11 years old, he has created this story and these imageries, and God bless Netflix but I was watching it, so I was watching someone talking about it today, and they were like, Netflix used to be a joke. You get your movie on Netflix, it's because it was nobody else fucking wanted it. But that's not the case here. And the amount of care and attention that Netflix have put into the production of it, the promotion of it, even the little bit they did for themselves with the start of the film, to like, when the Netflix thing comes up and then all of a sudden the big batteries appear and then the movie starts, and I was like, oh God, yeah.
I found out two things. They invested 120 million, Netflix, into this.
Uh-huh.
I will go into why when we start talking about set and costumes and stuff like that. But it's pretty self-explanatory as to where all the money went there. But also how he was he just had this need to want this movie out there. So a lot of people thought that, when they did the cinema release 2-3 weeks prior to when Netflix, it was a very, very limited release, very
small, very limited, very selected.
The reason why that was done, and this is what I found out, the reason why it was done is because it cannot be considered for an Academy Award without a cinematic release.
Oh, wow, okay.
So people originally went out there thinking that it was put out in the cinemas for people for like public demand. No, Netflix know what they're fucking doing, because they are now going to be, I mean, if they've put 120 million behind this, they will put money behind an Oscar campaign to get this, even if it's just for set design, director, even if the actors don't get anything. And I've got to be honest, I think, Jacob is going to be.
If Kate Hawley doesn't get nominated, at least they're fucking travesty in the world.
And there's like 3 months now till the Oscars, so that's what I found out, and I went and researched it, and it is true. To qualify for the top whack, like best actors, best directors, all that sort of stuff, you have to have a cinematic release of the movie for it to qualify as an Oscar worthy or an Oscar consideration. So they know what they're doing. They did it before with something as well that won Oscars, and I can't remember which movie it was, but there was a movie that they put out prior where they did a limited run so it could get put up for an Academy Award, and I think it won something as well.
Good.
So I do see this as going somewhere, whether it's this Oscars or the next.
It would be
Somewhere
this.
something.
It's an awkward time because it still can be considered for next year's,
Yeah.
but they may push for this year's, given that they still have some time. But technically, because of when it released, they still could push it into next year's. They're right on the cusp of it.
Which would make it, if this and Nosferatu both get put up for any kind of awards in awards this season,
Hmm.
this would be the first year that horror has been taken incredibly seriously and not reclassified.
Yeah.
Obviously, they reclassify. I mean, you can't really reclassify Nosferatu and Frankenstein.
No.
What the hell are you doing if you do? But this will be the first year horror will be in a position where it's up for the biggest names and not have had the category change. Like, the reason why I say that is because of Silence of the
Silence of
Lambs.
the Lambs. I think the only movie that hasn't done that was the year Jordan Peele one for
Get Out.
Get Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the only time it's not. It's you can't skirt your way around what that was, but they'll try. They'll call it a psychological
That's what I
thriller.
was going to say. That's probably
Yeah.
what they classed it as. But with this, you cannot, I mean, they'll call it a Gothic romance or something. I can see it going that way, but people will be like, oh, come the fuck on. Seriously. You know, we're at a point where, let's just be honest, you've excluded us for so long, the horror community. And we
Hmm.
take it because we know we're kind of like can be the butter jokes because the amount of shit that we pump out, Sharknado, like Velocipasta Raptor zombies from
Yeah.
hell. You know, we're a bunch. We're used to it. But when something so beautiful has been made,
Hmm.
I do firmly believe that it should be given a chance. And
Yeah.
so I have to commend Netflix on their sneaky little get it out in the cinemas for 3 weeks, pretend
Yeah.
it's the public want it, and then we can now get a possibility to get into the Oscars. So
Yeah. Sorry, the Oscars is I love it, but I hate it at the same time.
it's a
So
popularity contest, and
it really is. And you
it's
know,
buy your space, buy your place job.
I used to watch it every year. I really did. I love, honestly, I sit now if I go down a rabbit hole with acceptance speeches, I'm sitting there like a blubbering friggin' mess. But it was the year Les Mis came out and the Anne Hathaway's campaign for her Oscar that led into parodies of it and whatnot. And I was like, oh my God, this really is a popularity contest. She really has done this for an Oscar. Like, oh, it changed the whole trajectory for us of how I felt on the Oscars.
It was
I
DiCaprio
did.
for me, the DiCaprio thing for The Revenant. That's when it
That
really.
was just a, that was just a that was just a hey, you have one. We're sick to God of you being nominated.
But the guy spent so much money. This is what people don't realize, right?
Mm,
There's a lot of things in Hollywood that cost you.
mm-hmm,
Stupid mistakes,
mm-hmm,
Boulevard, they're things that cost you money. But the biggest expense for any serious actor will be the campaign behind getting an Oscar. It's not
mm-hmm.
free. Just to even enter, you have to pay a base price of like 50 to 100K just to be considered to even go on a shortlist. And then when you get put on the shortlist, you pay another amount. And when you get whittled down to the top X amount that are in the final category, you're then paying another amount. It's a popularity money contest, which is
Yeah.
disgusting. And it's not.
And then you've got your peers who may not have fucking pumped out a movie for God knows how long, who are making decisions on if you're going to win this or not.
Exactly. And that's the thing. These are people that probably haven't come out of their crusty, dusty attic for 600 years. And they're
No.
like, the best thing I can compare them to is in What We Do in the Shadows, Peter in the movie, or Doug Jones, as the Baron. They come out, hello,
Yeah. That's
bye.
the
You
that's
and,
cast a vote. X on the
yeah,
thingy.
and
Back in me
no
coffin.
fucking idea. It's like blind man going, boop.
Yeah.
You know,
The history of the Oscars, obviously the early, I know it's got forgot to do with Frankenstein, but the early days of the Oscars was fucking vile. The fact that there's certain actresses and actors who couldn't even get into the actual ceremony because of their skin color
yeah.
was just fucking crazy. Hattie McDaniels, Gone with the Wind, wins a fucking Oscar. They had to persuade and pay security to even allow her to accept it, and she couldn't even do it on the main stage. Yeah, the Oscars is a whole fucking shit show, but I really, really hope, and not that I got to make this very clear. Nosferatu was not is not a terrible film.
Mm-mm.
It's just not something I enjoyed. I love the cinematography. I love what he can do to a movie. It is breathtaking. But there was something so lacking and slow
Oh,
and pulled and drawn and oh.
it was Soul. Soul was lacking from that film.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, again, I am in complete agreement with you. It was beautifully done.
Oh, it's
It was a
gorgeous.
masterpiece in cinematography, like you say.
Mm-hmm.
He framed the shots. Nicholas Hoult was a fantastic actor. You know, yeah,
Yeah,
Bill,
like
Skarsgård,
Aaron Aaron Taylor Johnson was
yeah,
brilliant.
Bill Skarsgård, you know,
Mm.
does his thing. I
Mm-hmm.
can't really comment about Depp because Lily Depp just annoyed me for the entire film. Uh,
Yeah.
but that was either the choice they went down with the character
Mm-hmm.
or the way she was written. That I'm not. It's not a comment on her acting ability. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
pure comment on the character herself. I hated it, but it was lacking soul, and it started to pick up something towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
You'd already sat there for 2.5 hours, and you were like, "Oh, for
My
Christ's sake,
God, when is this gonna
what
fucking
has happened?
end?
Where are we in like 2.5 hours?" And it was
We
just,
didn't get very far.
it felt empty.
Yeah, that's such a good word, empty.
And a lot happened, but nothing happened at the same time. But with this movie, with Frankenstein, the way he cut it into two pieces,
Mm,
for a lot of people, I know they struggled with it. I didn't, because for me,
mm-mm.
I knew what was consistently coming, and I couldn't wait for that next bit, and I couldn't wait for that. And I knew it was 2.5 hours, but it didn't feel like 2.5 hours.
No.
I sat and watched it straight again all the way through last night, and then watched the documentary that's now available on Netflix for 45 minutes afterwards. So I had 3 hours and 15 minutes worth of Frankenstein yesterday,
The
and it,
yeah, the longer I could stay in that world, the better. I just didn't want to fucking leave it. I wanted, I wanted to feel something after Nosferatu. And not because I'm not a huge fan of vampire movies. I just wanted to. I don't know. I wanted this like romantic side of us to kind of like emerge, and it just never happened. And what really got us was, and this is something that I've been like, obviously, with us doing a lot more reviews, I'm looking at color palettes and I'm looking at themes, and I couldn't find like in this movie. Oh my God, the the fact of just looking at pure human nature is crazy. And also the colored palettes, it all meant something. When I think back of Nosferatu, all I can think of is dark.
black and grey and brown and sepia, and
And nothing so significant. Don't get us wrong, it makes the movie look absolutely beautiful, but nothing significant to make me feel like I did when I was watching Frankenstein. And even the beginning part where we're in the glacier and we're in the snow and the blues, the whites, the golds, and you're like, oh, like it's the calm before the storm kind of thing. And oh, yeah, I loved it. I just hope I'm explaining myself properly when it comes to Nosferatu, because I am not by no means saying that as a shit film.
I think this is the problem. You've got two ends of the year. You've got two huge directors who have just achieved their entire life's work.
Yeah,
Robert Eggers has always wanted to do Nosferatu, and GDT's always wanted to do Frankenstein. So this was the
yeah,
year for them to achieve their lifelong goals. And there is a quote here I have that GDT wrote, and he wrote it within the movie for himself. So it's a
right,
line from the film, but it was to him from him.
right.
And the line was, having reached the end of the world, there was no horizon left, and the achievement felt unnatural. So it's a like an allegory for his final achievement. He's done his thing. Now what does he do?
Oh my God, if the rumor mill's true.
He's retired at
Um,
60. He wants to retire now. He doesn't want to do much more.
I saw something. It might come to us later of what. I don't know. I'm not sure. But this movie, his vision of Frankenstein is not. It's his vision.
Yeah.
It's not a pure direct adaptation of the book. And I feel like that was something a lot of people were missing when they went into this.
Hmm.
He has thought from 11 years old how he has felt about this movie and how he has dissected it in his brain to where, oh God, if we could explore this part and of this part. Because like I say, he is all his movies are centered around human nature,
Yep.
human creation in some form of way. And this was no different. And he actually took a lot of, and I didn't know this until I've literally just read it. I didn't know Frank Darabont. Did he do? Yeah, Frank Darabont did the Frankenstein movie with Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh was the director and the main star. Frank Darabont stepped in and was co-directing.
Co-directing, okay, yeah, because he said that's like a pretty much perfect script.
What year was that? The Mary Shelley's Robert De Niro.
I tell you,
A lot of people hate that one, right? And I
I
don't
don't.
hate it. I don't hate it at all. I think it's absolutely fantastic for what it was, for the time period that it is and what they were trying to achieve. I
Yeah,
think it was bloody great. And I think that the out of the park fucking choice of having De Niro as Frankenstein was a great
genius.
casting choice. I don't think he did bad by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it was 1994.
That is
Um,
perfect because that's the year I walked square into Kenneth Branagh when I was working at the BBC for my for my,
no.
yeah, for my school. We all had the work experience.
And you did yours in the BBC? Did run a fucking nursery?
I did mine at CBBC. Yeah, I worked on Blue Peter
Don't
and
fuck
Newsround.
you.
I, I got a Blue Peter badge. I didn't get paid, but I got a Blue Peter badge.
Oh, well done.
And well, it's just one of those things. I was lucky enough, and then I went in the broom cupboard and worked in
It's
there.
just bitterness because I was in a nursery in Sunderland.
I had to go and do the lunch run because I'm bearing in mind I was 14, so I had to go and do the lunch run because that was one of the jobs that you were given. And I had
Yeah.
to go down to the canteen. Now you had in the BBC you had the higher restaurant, which was where all the posh people go. Then you had like a canteeny section where all the people who just want a quick lunch or
Hmm.
they that sort of thing. And I was with Tim Vincent took me there from Blue Peter, took me to the canteen and was showing me what I needed, what I needed to do, like where I was going and everything. And he was lovely, absolutely lovely man. And I was trying to listen to him and I was walking down the stairs and I walked square into Kenneth Branagh on the stairs. And it wasn't till afterwards because I didn't realize I was 14. Kenneth Branagh's not on my radar at 14. I wasn't really a
No.
big Shakespearean connoisseur at that point, shall we say. And that was the same year that came out. So
Wow.
yeah.
That makes it. I'm just looking here. It was directed by Branagh. The screenplay was by Frank Darabont and Steve Lady. The producers was Francis Ford Coppola because they were going off the success of Bram Stoker's Dracula that they brought him in. Honestly, I absolutely adore this movie. It is very close to the book, I believe. However, I don't know because I am currently reading the book.
And I haven't started mine yet, but I'm going to. And no, I didn't get this
Oh,
bookshop if anybody says it. I got it from Forbidden in London and I'm still pissed about that. Right. Okay.
she's so angry about it.
This is
But
the
yeah, it is on TikTok Shop for half the price.
It's all the fancy stuff inside, the pop-ups and everything. It's really, really cool.
Looks
And
stunning.
I need some downtime. So now the shows are over until
Mm.
March. So you won't see us at a show till March. I can actually do things like read books again now. That'll be fun.
It was actually nice to get a message from you to say you'd bought a book haul.
I bought three. I was
I know.
myself. I got the new Making Monsters by Howard Berger, which is I need to sit and really what it's very similar to the makeup Masters of Makeup Effects there, but Howard did. But it's this one's got more interviews with more
Mm.
with like newer special effects guys and things like that and different movies they talk about. But and then I've got a horror like compendium book of all like 101 horror movies you need to watch. So I was just like, ha, that'll do
Oh
some
my
research
God.
material.
Do you know what I bought and I totally forgot to tell you? And it's just come to us there. The Longleys.
I
You
watched,
recommended the film to us?
yeah, I read that and then I watched it, and it was a made for TV movie, and it had the guy it had the guy who was in um Beverly Hills Cop, you know, Aquel Roy.
Yes.
It has him in the movie, and he like the movie's so bad, but it's good at the same time. Like it's
Yeah.
of its time bad, you know, like CGI bad. It's
Well,
nice.
I didn't watch the film.
The book is really good. It is really good.
We were every time I go out shopping, and we walk past the Waterstones, I have to go in and piece together my Stephen King collection. And what I really want to do, and this sounds really fucking sad, I want to replace my copy of It because I don't like the front cover.
Mhm.
It upsets us when I look at it. I don't like it. So I was like, if the ones of the books that I'm getting now, that artwork, if it's in, I'll go and get it. And it wasn't. And that was, and I was like, oh my God, Dan recommended that movie to me ages ago, but it was because of the book. I'll go and get the book. And I think I got Running Man and can't remember the other one.
The Running Man is a very good book as well, much better than the movies.
Shawshank. What Shawshank?
See, I never read the Hamshank Redemption because the Hamshank Redemption,
Fucking hate the fact you call it that.
it was just too much. It was just too much for me. Like, bearing in mind, like, again, I read all these books when I was in my
Mm.
teens, my formative years. I read them from the age of like 11 to continuously. I was that kid that had to persuade my mum to get out the books because they were from the adult section in the library.
Oh,
Libraries were a thing when I was growing up. We couldn't afford books, so we went to the
no.
library.
I love my library card.
And I had a week. I had a week to read these
Mm-hmm.
books and then give them back. So, you know, I was well read for a kid with dyslexia, you know.
Mm,
I
I
would
wasn't.
I never had any issues with my reading. Mine was always like spelling. That was purely it with me, spelling and grammar. But I type too quick now. My spelling is fantastic now, but I type too quick when I'm messaging people, and like with false nails on as well. When you're
Yeah.
trying to type on a touch
But
screen,
she also shouts at you too,
yeah.
inadvertently.
Christ
I
almighty.
was like, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I know when you're messaging us at home. I know when you're messaging us at work. I
Yeah,
know
the
the
keyboard at
difference.
work is a lot easier. However, my decimal point doesn't work, and the occasional E doesn't work on the keyboard, so I have to really hit it, which is really frustrating because I'm like a northerner. There's nothing wrong with that, but when you type it, you
Yeah,
have an accent. It's weird when you're typing and you have an accent.
yeah,
Um,
pet. There was one person who was missing from this movie that I was I thought was a little not disappointing, but it was just like, oh gosh, he's not part of it. Was Doug Jones, who is a frequent collaborator. He did do initial tests
mhm.
with the monster makeup, and it just didn't work.
It says, like, the one thing I will say about this film, if I have one criticism about this film, I don't like the amount of CGI that was used. I have an issue with it. And I understand why it's been used, right? I get
Mm,
it's all just to help. It's not the main focus. It's all just to help the stories along. Like the wolves, the sheep, the mice, you know.
I was fine with that, man, because they're
And
all real underneath it, but because them wolves are real.
there just came these points where it just looked weird in places. And I was like, I didn't need that. I didn't. On second watch, I noticed it. On first watch, I didn't.
I love that element of fantasy, though.
I don't know. It for me, knowing that the majority of the sets are real,
Mm-hmm.
like the laboratory set, the set in
Real.
his weird little don't know what you call, like his weird little apartment that he had with the body folded
Mm-hmm.
over, real.
Oh my God, that body. Oh my
The
God.
cabin that they had, because if we're going to go into sets, the cabin that they
Yeah.
had, the where David Bradley lived, and may I say that was
I
Every
could have
time
just,
something happened in this movie, my brain was going back to the old movie and was
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, he's found the hermit in the woods, and now they're going to play the violin and sing together, and he's David Bradley's going to dance. And I was really most upset that he didn't get
Oh,
that.
that whole section,
It
if
broke me.
that was just a movie, it just that part right there, I'd have been totally fine with it. That section there was probably, it wasn't probably the most beautiful, it was the most beautiful part of it. And oh,
I turned around and I said to Rob when that was happening, I couldn't even speak. You know when you get a lump in your throat, because he finally found some form of happiness. He finally found a home,
mhm,
and he was accepted by David Bradley's character for not because of how he looked, but just for who he was. And that's the only time he gets any acceptance
yeah,
in this
he's,
entire story, except for, I will say, the ship captain gives him.
yes, he's very understanding.
So I think, well, and that turns out it's Mads Mikkelsen's brother
It's a
Lars.
Mickelson. The minute I saw him, I
So
went, "Oh my God, your face."
I said exactly what I said to Rob. I went, I know him. You know, we have that
Hmm.
moment where you're like, you don't, I
Yeah,
know.
I don't. I was looking at him going, "You're an amalgamation of
But Lars Mikkelsen used to be
Lars
a bad guy.
Boss."
So for me, it was just like, because it didn't, he's literally just the conduit for the story, basically. He's the
Hmm.
conduit for Victor to tell his half, and then
Yeah,
he's the conduit for the monster, the creature, to tell his story. He's
yeah.
the listener, you know,
He
like,
is. Well, he's us.
yeah.
He's essentially us. In fact, before we go into the sets, I'm just going to go quickly into the production notes a minute. So in 2009, Del Toro did start to mess around with this movie, and he did go to Doug Jones, and the start of the initiate and makeup process started. The movie, the reason I wanted to bring this up for is because the movie did get shelved because of the Dark Universe coming into place. Um, we all know that didn't happen. However, at Comic Con 2010, yeah, Del Toro again brings this up, like bearing in mind he's been bringing this up for god knows how long, but he brings it up in 2010 at Comic-Con and was like, it's my favorite novel in the world, I really still want to do this. In 2013, he actually expressed interest in bringing Benedict Cumberbatch in. Now, the reason I bring this up for, and I wanted to mention this, is because one of my most favorite scenes of Frankenstein, I was so lucky enough to be able to see Johnny Lee Miller and Benedict Cumberbatch in Frankenstein. My mom has seen both versions. I have only seen the one. Now, when I went to go and see it, obviously I knew what I was in for with Benedict Cumberbatch. You know, acting is going to take place on that stage. What I was not expecting was Johnny Lee Miller to run fucking rings around him.
Was
John,
he Victor, Johnny, in your one?
no, I saw Benedict play Victor and Johnny Lee Miller play the monster. And I'm so fucking glad I did. It was it was absolutely breathtaking. I could not take my eyes off this man. I was like, Christ, you were in Hackers.
You
Um,
were married to Angelina Jolie.
I be Johnny Lee Miller. You were a bit of a joke on a James Gordon TV program.
And they
So
both played Sherlock Holmes, may I add.
they did, which my mom has seen both of them, and she still says Johnny Lee Miller, regardless of what role he is playing, he is brilliant. And when you can run rings around Benedict Cumberbatch and his abilities, ew, it was absolutely fantastic. So I know audio listeners won't see what you're doing.
Good, because I'll get discredited from the horror community for that.
You will, you will.
And
I do on a regular
that,
occasion.
if you want to see
Um,
that, head over to YouTube and watch the.
so yes, so he comes in, he wants to do something with Benedict Cumberbatch is playing the creature role. Bearing in mind, as the years move on, this starts to get few and nothing's really happening. 2016, he starts again. He really wants to fucking get this off the ground. He's really, really trying. It goes into 2020. He's still having the same conversations with people. It goes into 2013, 2023 even, Sam. And that's when Netflix are like, well, we have money and we've just seen your Pinocchio and we kind of liked it, even though I've heard it's absolute turd. But we
No,
can,
I really enjoyed it.
I can't, I have, I don't mind some of the live adaptations of the Disney films. Genuinely, The Jungle Book is one of the scariest ones I've ever seen. That is pure horror. It's brilliant.
This is fucked
It's
up because it's based in a different time.
mm,
What you're used to seeing in the Disney version, this is based during war, and it is
mm,
so well done because it's stop go animation for the majority of it, because it's not technically animated, it's stop go. So these are real puppets, these are real, like I say puppets, they're maquettes, they've been, pause, stop, 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 stop.
yeah,
And it is an absolute masterpiece to watch. It really is. I mean, I'm not, again, I will never
no,
specifically champion one director. There's so many out there.
yeah. But I feel like you can't help it with Del Toro. You
He
just
has he
can't.
has a way with his films
Mm-hmm.
that he will bring you in, and everybody has said the same thing, even about Hellboy. There's only
Mm.
one there's only one type of Hellboy, and when you watch, they all say it's Ron Perlman. However, you ask any fan who likes the Mike Mignola comic books, they all say that the best adaptation is The Crooked Man, which is fucking awful, may I add. I have watched it, so you can pretend, you can't come at me for that. However, a lot of them say that the RPD version is the David Harbour version, which works the best as well for the other backup characters. So
Yeah.
it's all over the freaking place. But Ron would never do a movie without it. He would never do a Hellboy without Selma or GDT.
No.
That's what he said. So that's hence
Yeah.
why he didn't get picked up for the David Harbour version. And I don't mind the David Harbour version. I know there's a lot of people that hate it. It's just totally different. It's just totally different. It takes a totally different path.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know people don't really like David Harbour at the moment, but I don't really like Lily
Oh, no.
either. So
No, me neither. It's like, well, okay. To
we don't need to know about your business. If you want
no,
to
he's
fire uppers in
also
your own time, that's entirely up to you, my
exactly.
friend.
Can I not just enjoy him as the Red Guardian for a bit? Am I not allowed that?
I'm
Let me
quite
have
happy
that.
just watching Stranger Things. If that's between you two as
Yeah.
grown adults, and let's remind ourselves, Lily has children, and
Mm.
she's releasing all of this into the public domain. Her
Oh, very
kids have
much.
been brought up by this man, and her kids are old enough to listen to her songs and know that their stepdad was seeing a prostitutes, or whatever the bleeding hell happened allegedly. Let me just add that. Um, why would
I
you do
don't.
that? Just to make some
I
money
don't
off your
care.
album? I
Don't care.
mean,
I don't care about your personal life. I just want to enjoy him as the Red Guardian.
I
That's
just think
it.
people share too much now.
Yeah. Oh God, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because of Pinocchio, it really takes Netflix in an eye to them, and they're like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And
Frankenstein.
he's like, "Under Frankenstein." And so the early edit, so what has become before is then completely changed, and the cast is developed with Andrew Garfield, Oscar Isaac, and Mia Goth. So there are your three at the time. Come September of 2023, so this is kind of it starts at the early part, September 2023. He revealed that film will start schedule in February 2024. Christoph Waltz then gets added to the cast, and this is where Jacob then replaces Andrew Garfield. Due to scheduling conflicts that resulted from the SAG-AFTRA strikes, Del Toro had to spend 9 months designing the look of Garfield's creature, but then was scrapped and then had to do 9 weeks to redesign
Jacobs, yeah.
Jacobs, yeah. And then the rest of the cast gets added, and then April 2024, it's announced. I don't know why this is in here for, because he only plays a very small part, but honestly, Del Toro will mention him every time. Ralph Ineson gets added to the cast as a cameo appearance. And I was like, does he really mean that much to him? And I feel like he does.
I think the thing about Ralph is that he is, again, he's very much like Doug.
Mm.
In the respect of that
He's
he
such a
did
character
so
actor.
many things,
Mm-hmm.
but yet you might not know his name. Probably now you do because of Fantastic Four and you know The Witch. They're more
Yeah.
bigger bang for your buck movies with him in.
He was in Nosferatu, wasn't he?
It was, yeah. So you mean this is his time? Like when you see, I'm noticing more now that a lot of actors that have been working and working and working and working and not really getting to
Big
godlike
heights.
status
Hmm.
are reaching these heights now in their late 40s, 50s,
Yeah.
where back in the 90s it was all about being in your 20s and being hits when you were in your 20s. And
Yeah.
now it feels like all the actors that have been
It's
putting the
changing.
time in are finally getting their dues now in their, my age and a little bit above. They're starting to get all that work is coming out, with
Yeah.
especially with Ralph. And Ralph was hilarious. He was just a chain smoker at HorrorCon when he was at HorrorCon. He was just smoking out the back. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can't confirm or deny that's how he speaks because he smokes like a trooper. But not
He's
advised. But
he is such a great character actor. He's
mm,
an absolutely fantastic character, and I love the fact that now, and regardless of the fact that Dan told us he doesn't like it, I don't see him as Chris Finch anymore. He was always Finchy. I didn't even know up until last year. I couldn't even remember what his name was. And now I love the fact that he really is. He's been working and grafting and scraping, and now in 2025, he's in three of the biggest movies of the year. He's in Nosferatu, Fantastic Four, and Frankenstein. And granted, Frankenstein is only a cameo appearance, but it was enough that it's in the production notes because I really feel like he means a lot to a lot of people. And I'm so pleased.
yeah.
Finchy did well. That's what happens when you read a book a week.
And David Bradley, last
Oh,
year,
that man.
he was consistently cancelling cons. So
Yeah.
people were thinking, oh God, he's ill, not very
Yeah, they
well.
will.
Now we know why,
Now we
because
know, yeah, it was
he was
nothing to do with
doing
that.
this. And
That man, I have loved him. I have hated and despised him. He does his job flawlessly. From Walder Frey, the guy who started the Red Wedding, to this, it's like, oh, and Christ, he was in Benidorm.
there's one film,
Benidorm.
he did, right, which broke my heart. And I've only been able to watch it once. And it's so stupid when I tell you what film it is.
Okay.
Harry Brown.
Oh,
Michael Caine,
yeah.
David Bradley, and Ben, what's his name from Plan B, was the
Yes.
main Chavy kid. That film, when they kill him in the house fire, kill David Bradley, and then Michael Caine decides to get his revenge, that broke me because I don't like seeing old guys cry.
I don't like seeing men
Men
cry.
cry at all, no. But it
Mm-mm.
was worth. There was just something about that entire scene. It was heartbreaking.
Hmm.
Like they were too scared to walk under the underpass because they were being thick, and that's always the standout character for me that David Bradley played. Like other than Filch and
Oh God, yeah, he's
Walter Frey.
yeah, Walder Frey, like I, it's amazing. It's like the same with Jack Gleason, who played Joffrey.
Yeah.
He did the best job ever because I fucking despised him.
And he did the same because he was recently in the Guinness TV show on Netflix.
Yeah, I've heard he's pretty good in that.
We watched that. I don't know why we binge watched it. It's not our normal cup of tea kind of program, but we watched
Hmm.
that, and I've got to say they did a bloody good job with that Guinness season one. But the one thing I will say about this is that when I'm talking about all these kind of period type dramas, like we're talking about Nosferatu, we're talking about all that, they're all based around the same Victorian Dickensian era.
Yeah.
Del Toro said, nope, we're not having that costuming. Don't want it. Don't want the stovepipe hats. Don't want the Dickensian cloaks. I don't want none of that. I want it to look like this. And this is where Kate really
Oh,
stepped up to the
are we
plate.
gonna do it? Are we gonna do it?
We'll do costumes, yeah, because
We'll
I
do
think
costumes.
Kate took inspiration from Guillermo.
Oh,
He had the final say on everything, down to the fabric choices, down to because he'd give her sketches of what he wanted. And then like when he was giving her the briefs on how he wanted Oscars to be, it was Ziggy Stardust. It was like rock star. That's why he doesn't have a stuffy cravat on when everybody else was, and he has that weird
the,
kind of open
the
shirt
hat.
and the disheveled hair as well. Men had they were either wigs or very well put together if they were of a certain class. It was you
Hmm.
didn't have this rebellious hairdo.
Yeah.
Um, he also said about Mia, they wanted to have this reflection of her love for insects come
Nature.
out in her clothing,
Yeah.
which was stunning. But what I did find out was that Tiffany and Co. have a lot to do with this
A
movie.
lot to do with it. A lot to do with the jewelry that Mia wears.
But the pure in that they got on it was more so the fact that they were researching what the medical instruments that were being made in the 1850s.
Yeah.
And people, not a lot of people, I didn't know this, but Tiffany and Co. started out as the manufacturer of medical instruments in the 1850s. That's what they were doing before they became a fine jewelers.
Yeah.
So they were looking to get an in with Tiffany to see the archives for all the surgical equipment because they wanted to copy that for the movie. And so when they approached Tiffany, Tiffany were like, okay, well, that's fine, but, keep it to that because we really don't want anything to do with the big clunky monster type movies. And they were like, well, actually, this is what Guillermo wants to do. And they were like, okay, come in.
Oh yeah, they were very, very hands-on. If nobody recognizes the name Kate Hawley, she is from New Zealand. She is not a regular. You have seen her work before, and you may recognize some of the inspiration, especially around the Red Archangel and the mother's dress, because it looks very similar to the movie that she worked on with Guillermo del Toro, which was Crimson Peak. She's done Lovely Bones, The Hobbit, Pacific
They
Rim.
they met because Peter Jackson introduced her to GDT. That's how
Ah,
Kate went from The Hobbit to this.
she's also done Crimson Peak, Edge of Tomorrow, Suicide Squad, the David Ayer Suicide Squad, not the James Gunn Suicide Squad, Call of the Wild, Chaos Walk, and Frankenstein. She also was the costume designer for Rings of Power.
There's some beautiful stuff in that.
The woman's work it's godlike. It really, really is.
I saw this one interview with her, and it wasn't the Netflix documentary one. This was like a YouTube
Mm-hmm.
thing where she was talking about the costuming, and it might have bled into the other one. I've got to be honest, I watched so many little snippets, I can't remember which one I saw it in now. But when they were talking about how they wanted the creature to start to humanize itself from the bandages to becoming more
Human in feature as well. Like he was developing. He was evolving.
yeah, they said, right, well, we'll get him to take the coat off of the dead soldier's body that was laying on the floor. Now, bearing in mind, back in those days, those coats were made from pure wool.
Yeah.
So the way that her and Guillermo were talking about this coat was because this coat was on like literally a rib cage and a bag of bones.
Mm-hmm.
So they said that the amount of rainfall, snow, sleet, crap off the trees, the moss growth, with fabric like wool, it would mold around the thing underneath it.
Yeah.
And so when you see it in the certain lights, when they lift the coat, there's spine going down the back of the coat where it had molded around the spines on the floor, and it kept the shape when the creature's wearing it. And it's not from the creature, that is from the floor. That's how much detail they put. There's moss growing on it because it's from the floor, and they kept it on and they didn't knock it off when he put the coat on. There's the detail work that goes into this. It went down to the fact that some of the dresses were made from silk, pure silk, to get
Pure
to the
silk.
So this is like 120 million. I'm guessing 1 million of that easily went on the 9 dresses that they needed to make Mia Goth's final dress. They had to make varying versions of her dress to keep showing um her aim when she talked about this dress with Guillermo was they wanted to allude that she was going to be the creature's bride, but they never had any intention of taking it that far. But they wanted to homage that within the bandages sort of look to her wedding dress. but they made 9 versions because the final version you see where you've got the like organza over the top,
Oh yeah.
the wraps, was because they wanted to, when they flooded the blood, they wanted it to look like she had translucent skin and it was underneath her skin.
And it was a different, this was a, so just to, I'm just going to grab my phone a second because I've got the color palettes that we used, and that's kind of that is a transitional thing. So when the opening, it's very limited color, so it's white, blue, gold. So everyone is it's a, like I said earlier, it's like the calm before the storm. But when it comes to Mia's color palette is greens, it's nature's. It's because of her love for insects.
Yeah.
But when when she becomes the bride, it's a transitional. She is given into what she actually wants, which is the creature, and ready to shave that element off her. So what you have seen in her before, you aren't going to see her, and obviously that doesn't happen, but you wouldn't see her if she was to continue, we wouldn't see it again. So the white is a rebirth of her. This is how much Del Toro has kind of like really thought of it. And the creature's colors are very pastel-y and fantasy element, because let's face it, he really shouldn't be here. He is the fantasy element of this whole story, so why would you not use the color palette of fantasy when it comes down to him? But Mia Goth, so the color palette that they use for Oscar Isaac is there's a transitional from childhood to adult.
Yeah.
Black, white, and red is used predominantly through his childhood. Black being his no, black being him, white being the neutral, red being his mother.
And this is where they bring in the Oedipus complex with Victor. This was where Del Toro was so adamant about this red theme with Victor, that you see all the way through. It starts with his mother in the dress. Then it goes to him drinking a lot of milk, which you will notice they're saying that basically that's his way of staying as a child.
Yeah.
He hasn't mentally got past drinking his mother's milk, which
doesn't want to.
It's very, very grim. Like, hence why he did the clever thing of getting Mia to play the mother and his love interest, even though she didn't. It was unrequited love, which I think is brilliant, because in the book it's not. In the book,
it's not.
Victor and Elizabeth marry or try to, or it's been a long time.
It's his sister, isn't it?
No, I think they marry Elizabeth.
It's not his sister, but it's somebody who his father adopts into the. I am literally at the beginning of the book.
I was going to say, it's been a long time. I was 13 when I read it, so it's been a long time. But the theme of when the mother goes to give birth of William, that you have the red hand on the shoulder and on the face, then Victor then wears red gloves consistently all the way through.
Which I think was a fantastic touch.
Yeah, and there is this just consistent underlying thing that he never got past the loss of his mother, because he was so infatuated with his mother, and she became this unobtainable figure to him that, you know, the red symbolized and the milk symbolized. But for people who don't know what an Oedipus complex is, the definition, and I pulled this off, so this is word for word, the definition of an Oedipus complex is the complex of emotions aroused in a young child, typically around the age of 4, by an unconscious sexual desire for the parent of the opposite sex and wish to exclude the parent of the same sex. So basically what they're saying is it's called Oedipus in males really only. So he hated his father and he loved his mother, but he loved his mother to an almost relationship level of love rather than of a father.
So couldn't really see it as a maternal, more of a sexualization
even
of that
though,
relationship.
Even though the child wasn't aware it was.
They're not aware of that's the case, but okay.
Yeah. And also, Oedipus was a mythical Greek king of Thebes, a tragic hero in mythology. He unwittingly fulfilled a prophecy that he would end up killing his father and marrying his mother, thereby bringing disaster to his city and family. So hence that's where the word Oedipus comes from, the Greek mythology, and how he married his mother and had sex with his mother, and then his entire city crumbled around him. So it's kind of a cautionary tale
Of incest is wrong.
Oh, basically, yeah. Well, I mean, you'd like to think most people know that, but apparently not. So,
I can't even comment on that. I'm sure I've told you the story of someone I know who, yeah. Harlander, his brother and father are represented by a lot of blue, and it's more of a nothing.
yeah.
These people are nothing to him. Blue is such a meh color. It is such a gender. It basically does identify their gender, and all that they are to him are just men. He's not really bothered by them. I love the idea of and the thought that's gone into just even the colors and how they represent everyone and everything. Everything has a thought behind it. Nothing is there's hang on, I've got a proper tickle.
You know the green dress she wears
Oh my good God, yes.
with all the circles on it?
Did you get Jennifer Lopez vibes from it initially?
No, because Jenny from the block hasn't
Can you
been
not
alive.
remember the Versace green dress that she wore at a? It was iconic.
If you probably showed me a picture of the dress, I probably would. But like
Yeah.
it's the fact that the pattern on the fabric came from the inspiration of blood cells, because Kate was looking at some reference photos that Guillermo had sent her of like plasma and blood and insects and nature and the body, like things that happen in the body, and like uh viruses and things like that, and they
Mm-hmm.
came up with this print based off of all of those kind of things as an inspiration. And the green is based on the scarab
Yes.
iridescence. So you've got this beautiful patterned dress, and apparently Kate turned to Guillermo and said, "Someone needs to teach Mia to walk in that dress properly. She's not doing it, and it's horrific." And Guillermo went, "No, she don't tell her a word. You do not tell her she can't walk in that dress. I like how she does it. It shows that she doesn't care. She's not conforming to the standards that people expect of her. She's walking her own path, and that's the whole part that
Yeah.
we want her to play." So
There's one note, only one tiny little criticism that I have of this movie, and it is the lack of depth and discovery of Mia Goth's character. It's like it's almost like she's trying to figure out who she is, but she doesn't have a great deal of time to do it in. Like she's not. Oscar Isaac is so complex and so you know exactly who he is by going through his childhood, and by the time we get to him in oh my God, that scene when he is in front of Ralph Ineson is just absolutely perfection. I fucking love it. But with her, just something felt a little bit lacking. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved Mia Goth in this movie. I thought she was extraordinary. But there was just something tiny bit. I was like, oh God, could we just focus on her just a little bit longer? They didn't stay with her long enough.
yeah, I think we got more about Christopher Waltz than we did about her.
And I wish it was the other way around.
I mean, it made sense because he wrote him in as a allegory of the studios that he's had in his life.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense.
He compared the character of Harlander to movie studios and how they say, "Here's all the money, but I want this."
I want something from you. That makes so much sense.
So that's his cheeky little, fuck you to the movie.
But so because this story is very different from the book, Victor needed a benefactor. He needed somebody, so you had to have that character to come in and go, well, here's all your money.
Yeah, because
But
otherwise, no freaking way in
oh
God's.
no, God no. I don't know if you want to get into the set or
I'll do a little bit about it because Tamara
Mhm.
Deverell, she did an amazing job. I mean, the
Oh,
amount of time and effort
mm.
that went into it. I mean, most of you will know by now, hopefully, that the majority of the stuff was shot in Edinburgh. Obviously, it's just literally if any of you know the cathedral in the middle of the walk on the mile, a lot of the scenes were shot in there. A lot of the little streets, everything is perfect in Edinburgh for this movie.
Oh yeah.
I also found out, like 10 minutes down the fucking road, I have Burley House. Burley House was where they filmed Frankenstein.
Ooh, what did they
10
film in
minutes,
there?
10 minutes down the road. I couldn't believe it. And they filmed so much there. They also filmed the Batman with old Brickface Pattinson up there. And so they're using it it's a huge, great big stately home. And I think they used it for the exterior shots where Mia Goth standing on the steps. There's a couple of
Oh
times
my
they used,
God, that scene.
or it was the interior. I can't remember. They said they used 3 different locations for that because Guillermo didn't want the whiteness of the building, but because it was a grade listed building, they couldn't paint
He
it.
wanted the stairs though for the dress contrast, didn't
Yeah.
he?
So they had to do something where they relit it. So I can't remember which one it was. It was one of 3 because they used 3 houses for the interiors and the exteriors in that. And Stamford, the house in Stamford was used, Burley House, for some of that movie, and that completely floored me because that meant that they were just there. They were just there, filming that movie, just there.
Del Toro was literally down the road from you.
I know.
And you didn't know.
No. But what made me laugh was when they were describing, the opening scene where they've got the massive ice tundra and the ship is gone. They built the ship. The ship is a
Yep.
practical ship.
Practical ship, yeah.
Real life ship. And when Tamara Deverell was asked, what was your thought behind that? She went, well, I used to be a shipwright. And they were like, I beg your pardon? She was like, well, yeah, because she went to school in Vancouver and she needed a summer job. So she started being a shipbuilder. And
As you do.
She was making fishing boats and all sorts. And she was always really interested in boats. So when she became a production designer, she was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I ever got to make a boat? And this came up and she was like, amazing. So to set this great big furthest north, what they did was they completely turned a car park in the studios in Canada into this great big ice tundra and
I can't even imagine how that would look like.
made this massive boat and put it in like a life-size ship and put it in with the false floor for Jacob to fall through for the scene where he fell through the ice. This has all happened in Toronto, and to make it look more effective, everything had like a metal base, but it was covered in styrofoam, and then on top of that they put all the real snow and the effects like that they used to keep it looking like that. But they mainly use Scotland, Canada, and then parts of the two parts of the exterior houses was here, and then there's another place down near London. They physically built the water tower, which if any of you are up on your Latin, you will see aqua de vida, which means the water of life. In the words written out, and I knew that anyway. Don't ask me why I knew that. I am shit at Latin. We never did it at school, but it's just one of those.
Who the fuck did?
My cousin, she got an A star.
What?
Yeah, I don't get it either.
They barely taught English where I come from.
Joanna was like, she had an A star in bloody Latin. I don't. Buggered if I know what it's about.
They ain't gonna be teaching that in the northeast of England, can I tell you that for sure.
Aqua de Vita.
Where you from?
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire.
Oh, Aqua de Vita, love. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah, they based it on the William Wallace Monument, as most people know by now, the water tower. So if you go up to Scotland, you'll see it from afar. It takes a while to get there. I've only ever seen it as we've been driving up to Aberdeen, because you can look out the window and it is there, and it is an absolute stunning work of art, that thing. But you can't really, you have to go to see it actually physically to appreciate it, and it's one of those things that is on the list. But
I feel like that's a lot when it comes to Scotland. You have to physically go in order to appreciate and the
100%.
history that's in there. I should, with my Scottish heritage, because with my DNA test finding out I was 52% Scottish, and obviously my surname's Scottish, so I should go. I'm not that far away from it.
That's true. You're about 2 hours from Edinburgh. The thing that they did with the maquettes was absolutely exceptional. They 3D printed the set of the tower so that when they did the explosion scenes, they could actually physically do it and then build upon it with the CGI.
Yeah.
So that I don't have a problem with when I go back to my comment earlier about CGI, because you're building the practice, and do you know it's 28 feet tall, the
Yeah.
model that they made of that.
Yeah.
So they could blow it up and then they could replace it because they're printed extra 3D. So they could do it
Yeah.
a couple of times. And then what they do with the CGI was to refine it, make the explosions look bigger and real. And I get the reasons behind that because that makes sense.
Yeah.
For me, the use of CGI there really worked. The use of maquettes really worked there as well.
I can understand what you're saying with the CGI when it comes to the animals. I can.
It
But there
felt a
are
bit
animals. But see,
Disney.
but I love that fantasy element of it because this is technically a fantasy movie. So I didn't mind that I was taken out of it. I wasn't even taken out about it. I was actually glad that they didn't look real. That would have probably been too much for me in that moment, especially what was actually happening with them wolves. That wasn't a nice scene. So for them to have that element of like, oh, they're not quite real. My emotions are actually okay with this. We've always talked about the use of CGI in place of practical, and there is a place for it, and you are absolutely right. In them moments, that is where it's needed. If I remember rightly from the documentary, or the making of, I should say, the house when it was on fire is just done with miniatures.
Yeah, it's all done with miniatures, 3D printed.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
But again, it's only a miniature because it's a scaled down version, which put it at 28 feet tall, that miniature. 28 feet tall for a miniature.
Yeah.
Because in theory, that was supposed to be the tower itself was supposed to be 100 feet tall. And may I just say, if you're going to climb a peak that high in the pissing rain, thunder, lightning, God knows what else, without a harness, how the hell did he get back down safely? When he put his lightning rod up the top, and that's not a euphemism. When he put his lightning rod up the top, he had to scale back down again.
Movie magic.
Oh yeah, it's got to be in it because it didn't take much for Christopher Waltz to,
Oh, that
did
was
it,
brutal.
that
That's
that I
that
have to
was
say,
brutal.
I love the fact they didn't make him bounce.
No, they didn't. He smoked. Poof.
That was probably, it could have been a lot worse, and it should have technically, if we're going on what would have really happened, it would have been a lot worse.
Oh, his front it would not be his front of his face would not be recognizable.
There would have been
However,
nothing. Yeah.
but that was the greatest part was the reveal because it looked like you're like, oh, could he be okay? And then he's got knee head at the back, and you're like, oh yeah, he's not coming back from that.
No, no, his wig flew off. That's the end. He's done.
That's it. Yeah, finished.
Syphilis didn't take him, but the fall did, you know.
I knew there was something to do with life with him, life and death with him. I just couldn't quite figure out from looking at him what was
Yeah.
it?
And then you could tell he had money before the minute he walked into the
The
Edinburgh.
costume, the costume said it
It was
all.
the shoes for me that clinking.
Oh,
You know, like they were gold
was it the
sole,
heel?
and you could hear the Blakeys, you could hear the Blakeys clinking on
Hmm.
the floor when he was walking up the stairs. And I was like, ooh.
It was
And
his
then
hat. I looked at his hat and went, money.
when we sat down with him and he was like, "Oh, I used to be a surgeon. Were you a surgeon?" And he was like, "Oh, I was a surgeon during the war, but I wasn't very good at it. I
Hmm.
know the odd bits enough to get myself through." And he was like, "I own ammunition factories." And I was like, "So that's who you
Money.
are. You are a warmonger. Instead of trying to save life, you're now taking them, but you're making money from it. So you are
You are
doing."
Tony Stark in a way.
He is he is Victor to the monster.
Oh yeah,
Harlander is Victor,
yeah.
and Victor becomes the monster in this situation. So it's like it's this consistent cycle of he's Harlander almost become like a father figure to him because Charles Dance's actual father was a shitbag.
He was very much a shitbag. Yeah, he replaces that, but I think Victor always comes to realize he doesn't really need him. But
No,
it's nice to have him there, like that father figure. It's nice to have there, but I'm okay that you can stay at a distance. Maybe we should use the last part to go through the movie in a way and fill the gaps of the information that we have.
yeah, I mean, I would like to say one thing.
Hmm.
Mike Hill, who was the creature designer for this movie, British born, guy.
Yeah.
Got a little accent to him. He's definitely from the north, from me. I don't know where specifically.
He's not from my north, but he's
No,
from the north.
there's a northern twang there from something. He was found by GDT because he was at a convention and he made a prop at the convention, and GDT saw it and asked the guy like who made it, got his emailed Mike Hill and commissioned him to make that giant Frankenstein head you see at GDT's house or that goes on tour. He also made the Jack Pierce and and Boris Karloff, where Jack Pierce is doing Karloff's makeup in the chair, the life-size statue.
Yes.
He also made the
Oh
life-size
my
statue
God.
of Karloff and Maria, that GDT has. So Mike made all of those, and so GDT then invited Mike to work on Mimic with him. And that's where
Yes.
the talk of doing Frankenstein actually began between Mike and
What else did Mike
he.
do though?
He's done so many films, so many
What
films.
other Del Toro movie has he done?
He did Nightmare Alley. He did Shape of Water.
He did Shape of Water.
Yeah,
He's the
yeah,
creature designer for Shape of Water.
yeah.
Another movie where where Del Toro was told he wasn't allowed to do Creature from the Black Lagoon, so he's like, all right then, I'll do my own.
And Mike Hill was absolutely disgusted with Jacob because he realized that Jacob was well versed in movies, but he had no idea about Hammer Horror or
No.
Universal movies. So when they were getting Jacob ready every day for 10 hours in his makeup chair, he'd start at midnight and finish at 10 a.m. And they would have him watch any Christopher Lee Hammer Horror movies, any of the Universal monster movies, because they were trying to educate him. And they said he's like a sponge. He was
Yeah, he got
obsessed
a
with everything. He watched everything. It was like a masterclass
he
in
got a
watching.
movie education, that kid on that film. He really did, because he is not the same person from post to pre, like they are completely different people. Del Toro, one of his inspirations, and this really will hit home as to why they kind of not forced him, but you have to understand where the love of monsters comes from with Del Toro. And he was once quoted saying it was religion to him.
Mhm.
He was raised a Catholic, but he never quite understood the saints. But when he saw Boris Karloff on the screen for the first time, he understood what a saint and a messiah looked like.
This is
So,
Do you want to know the quote that I've got off of him here?
yeah, please.
Gothic horror became my church, and
Mm,
Boris Karloff became my messiah.
I totally understand where he's coming from.
So that's a genuine quote from Del
Yeah.
Toro about how much the movie meant to him.
So,
The-
so when you have your creature on set who says, "I don't know X, Y, and Z reference," you're sure to God gonna have someone go, "Well, you need to fucking know. You need to understand the headspace this man has been in his entire life."
yeah. So Meg and Mike, Meg, I think is Mike's wife, could be his partner. I'm not entirely sure.
He's from
But
Warrington.
they literally gave him an education, Jacob, an education whilst he was getting in the makeup chair, and
Hmm.
they said he never slept. He just watched everything. Like,
Honestly, go and watch interviews for to before Frankenstein. He just comes across as a bit of a, and I'm not being disrespectful in the slightest, but a bit of a dumb teenager. Go and watch them afterwards. The man has had an education, and you can clearly tell his movie choices for Letterbox was the most pretentious I have ever heard. And I was like, there's no fucking way you would have picked that when your penis was exploding in Mortuary Collection. It's lovely though. I think it's lovely that he's been so heavily influenced by this whole experience that his whole outlook on things is I'm not saying completely changed, but he's had such an awakening, and it's lovely to watch. Um, so if we go through, like I say, go through the bits of the movie, because there's bits of the movie that I would love to talk about, and kind of like we can fit in the rest of the facts that we've got. Um, we start with the opening of the movie, which threw me. I'm not gonna lie. You know, when you're expecting something of like Victorian nature, and you're like, oh shit, why are we in the ice? Well, what? Huh? How do we get here?
because he reset it, didn't he, in the Crimean War? So
Yeah.
this is why it's a lot further along in the timeline than people would have expected as
Hmm.
well. So
Again, got to express this is his adaptation. This is not the book.
yeah.
feel like I need to have that said before everything. Sorry, I'm trying to find my notes so I can run alongside everything. Um, yeah, so we're on the boat and we're basically getting we're seeing Victor for the first time, and he is helped by Captain Mikkelsen, who uh is so intrigued. It's like, oh my God, how has this man like survived? I think what intrigues him firstly is the prosthetic.
The fake leg, yeah.
Yeah, and then whoa, how's he here? How's he survived? I kind of need to know. He was a bit of a nosy captain, I'm not gonna lie. But he is us. He is the audience, and it is Victor's part one is Victor's story.
Yeah. And we need the
Um,
exposition. We need to know, we need someone to ask the question.
yeah,
What the hell's just happened to you, son?
yeah, and there's so much. God, Victor is such a complex person. Um, godlike, godlike creator, but not wanting to take the responsibility for the creation. Oh my God, there is so much that goes into Victor. We meet him as a child first, where he obviously talks about the relationship with his mother and the one of his father.
Mm.
What struck me was the lesson. We've spoke about Victorian um reference books, of
Mhm.
medical reference books. This would have been our paradise living in this bit right here. The body that was used in order to help him with his placement of the anatomy
A little
is a
ivory body, yeah.
genuine Victorian one, which I loved. I want one. If anyone can get a hands on one, I don't want a Temu one or a Wish one. I want a genuine one. Yeah, I love that scene so much when he's drilling into him. Obviously, he's basically handing down all of his knowledge into his son. And there's again something quite complex about his father, because he does come across as very mean in his approach, but then there was something very loving about it.
Yeah, like when he gave Claire, he's put the iron in the blood on the bread and
Mm-hmm.
told her to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like, that will be good for you. It'll be good for the baby. You need to eat it. And
Uh-huh.
that was not a kind, it was a kindness in his way of being kind. Um,
Yeah, his approach might not have been, that's it. His delivery is shocking, but he had some genuine care behind it.
yeah, and I think that all stopped when Victor held it against the father that he didn't save his mother.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
because that is God to him.
mhm.
His
So
father was a godlike being.
yeah, and he couldn't save his mother, so his delusions then started to begin after his mother died, and it turned out the father favored the other son, because I couldn't work out whether Victor was actually his or not, because he says on a couple of occasions like he detested us, me and my mother with our dark hair, and it's like I don't know if she married Chris she married Baron Frankenstein after Victor was born, or Victor was his to start because he favored the other child because he was
Because
fair.
he looked like him.
Yeah, so
Maybe because it was a marriage of convenience. She was dowager who came, and it was very, very common,
mm,
incredibly common that marriages started that way. Watch Downton Abbey. That's how the Crawleys, Lord Crawley, he marries a dowager because of her money. They just end up falling in love and having a great relationship at Downton Abbey. The coffin.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to talk about the coffin. I have been doing a lot of research on said coffin because now I'm rethinking my whole death of I've always wanted to be cremated. I'm kind of wanting to go down this route. I really love this coffin. It is a fist metallic burial case, which is a genuine coffin that was used in. It was actually created in Rhode Island, which doesn't surprise me. The whole thing of the funeral as we know it today was very Americanized because it was very much made into a business.
Mhm.
You know, the days of the wooden or wicker were gone, And the idea of caskets was brought in by America as a way of making money. You could still go and get your wooden coffin and you'd be looking at around, I've got the money here, $2 for a wooden coffin, which would be the equivalent of $76 in 2024. But a Fisk coffin, which if you're not familiar or you've not seen the movie, which would be weird while you're still listening to us because we've talked in great deal of detail about it, but the coffin that his mother's buried in is a metallic style with the face covering gone and you can see her full face and it's beautiful. But if you got one of them, it would have been $100, which was the equivalent of 3,780 in 2024, which is to the fucking cost of a funeral over here. But it was a metallic coffin. And it was desired by a lot of wealthy people, so the wealthy kind of got it, but it's beautiful. It's an absolutely stunning design.
I think I've mentioned this before, but downstairs in my dining room, I have a Ziegler coffin.
She does.
It is
Are you
mainly
been in it?
no, because basically
Ah,
the thing with the Ziegler coffin is Ziegler coffins are caskets are used. There's a difference between coffins and caskets. They're used to transport bodies from country to country that have been
ah,
possibly a bit grim. They have tap ends in them for bodily fluid draining and things like that. So you have a casket within a casket. So I have an
okay.
actual a wooden casket, and then you have
Hmm.
the interior metal lead lined that goes inside it.
Yes.
I also have a child's Victorian viewing casket. So the one that we see for Claire is
Hmm.
very fancy, but it's incredibly reminiscent of what I have downstairs, which is it's a wooden one with silk lining, satin lining inside, and it's about 1.5 foot tall, and it's from the 1800s. Because I collect antiques, weird shit. And it was a viewing coffin for children. Now I have a thing where I see myself as a bit of a caretaker for these things,
Yeah.
because where else would it be? It'd be in a shop doing nothing.
Yeah.
It's here amongst
It's
weird shit, and
it's been looked after. It's been
yeah.
taken
So
care of. This
I
part
know
of
it's
history.
not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. I
Hmm.
like coffee. I like tea. I like lots of things. Um, and so it sits there, and no, my house isn't haunted, if anybody asks, 'cause
Do you know
it
what I
really
thought you were
isn't.
going to say there? I like coffee, I like tea, I like teeth.
I do
Genuinely
actually.
thought,
I've
I
got a
know
jar
you
of teeth
do.
downstairs.
I know you do. That's where I thought you were going with that.
And to be completely honest, we actually own some of Robbie from Hell on Teeth's teeth. He had them taken out, and Hell on Shirts, they're downstairs. We own some of his teeth. So, if a murder was committed, it wasn't anything to do with them. We didn't plant the evidence or anything.
I love the fact that you've got them, and I love the fact that you've got half the artifacts that you do because you are right. You are a keeper, and you keep them safe. It's part of history, regardless of
I
where anyone wants to look at it.
I'm one of these people who fell in love with
Yeah.
um, medical stuff. So, like you say, when you see that little doll and things like that,
Oh
I
my
fell in
God.
love with it. I've got nothing but medical 1800s medical dioramas on my wall in my front room downstairs, and I just absolutely adore them.
This
The
is
nervous system, all of that.
Oh, oh my God.
Anyway,
I love the imagery of the nervous system where it is literally taken from the hand and pulled out.
mm.
Um, that's the difference between me and Dan. She fell in love with it to where she was like, right, I need to have this. I fell in love with it to where I'm like, okay, I need to know how that body works. And I need to look at like I need to know death, basically. I have such a weird thing with Victor in his early stages of his wanting to create life,
Mm.
that because I look at things the reverse, whereas he was looking of how to make. Does that make sense? I feel like I am.
He wanted
What?
to make life from death, but he ended up cursing life with an eternal death. So,
The way that I look at it is he got exactly what he wanted.
mhm.
He created life. He created a son. He just never had the correct. or he never had the right upbringing of a father that he actually knew what to do with him. He did traits that his father did to him when with the whole smacking and the belligerent and yeah, he
Victor is the prime example of just because you can, don't mean you
doesn't,
should. Because
yeah.
the minute he achieved his goal,
Hmm.
he didn't think about what was to come after. He didn't put any
No,
consideration into, okay, how the hell do
absolutely.
I maintain a reanimated pieces of corpse that are in a
But
human form? He
he,
didn't think about like what
no,
that would mean, how much effort and time would have to go into possibly. He thought, I think Victor's thought was that when he reanimated it,
hmm,
it would be fully functional human again. It would be able to speak, talk, do all the things. He wouldn't have to teach it anything. He could just release it into the wild and say goodbye, child.
yeah. It's because because Victor never had nurture, and um he never had parents. He never had the parental guidance in order to when this creature, regardless if it is child form or fully grown, needs to be nurtured, needs to be taken care of, needs to be educated. And all he got as his education was to have his father's um, prestige and his father's academic
Mm.
ability put into him, where that's not what a child necessarily needs, and he couldn't understand that. I mean, obviously, we have skipped a little bit forward, but what we get from the story is obviously the relationship between his father, his mother dies. Victor then obviously is on the creation of life. Basically, I never want this to happen to me again.
That scene
Mm.
with Ralph Ineson in the Edinburgh,
Oh my God.
Guillermo del Toro said that he bought 150,000 tons of silica, or I'm sure that's what he said, like no, 15,000 tons of silicone because of the amount of prosthetics that had to be made in this. And he literally now owns 15,000 tons of silicone because he's taken home the animated midsection corpse that's in his home.
Is that the same one that's used on the table? Is that
Yeah,
like
that catches
is it the
the
same
ball.
one?
Yeah.
So the one that's the one that the one in that room that catches the ball. Oh my God, I love that scene
And
so
then the
much.
folded man one, which is based
Yeah.
on a painting someone did.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it written down somewhere, but um, he also owns that, and he also owns another thing from later on. Where he's on
You would keep the lot, wouldn't you?
where he's the victor, the creatures on the lightning rod, where they make it look
Yes.
like it's the crucifixion.
Oh, oh my,
So
oh my
the
God, that
imagery in
scene.
this is absolutely stunning.
The
Like everybody,
symbolism in it is unreal. There's so much you can pick apart and take to pieces. Just the crucifixion moment alone is there's so much in there that at 11 o'clock at night, I don't know if my brain can actually kind of get into the symbolism of this movie. Um, we had so yeah, just the scene that we were referring to is when Victor has gone to the like an academy, is it?
yeah,
The medical academy, and trying to basically change medicine, as in you all want to find out the cause of death, I want to basically reverse it.
Mhm. And it seemed like most of them were with him on that page. Like
There
the
was
audience was really intrigued.
Well, yeah, because they just watched this thing come back to life and which is stunningly brilliant, grab a ball. But then you obviously have a lot of normal people who go, "This no good can come of this." You just again, like Dan said, just because you can should doesn't mean you should, and it
And
is hammered in that moment. But does he listen? Hell no.
no, because then this is where Christopher Waltz comes in and he goes, "Do you know what? Here's some money. Make me something. You do it."
Basically, yeah. And this is, Victor has such an ego on him because he has been brought up by a baron. He comes from money. He's got a really good fucking education. And if he thinks he's on the right path, then he's on the right path. And then all of a sudden you have a benefactor coming in going, do what you want. It just increases that ego even, and you see the ego going from kind of like, I'm just trying to convince these people to, oh God, no, actually, yeah, I am actually right,
Mm.
and I can actually do this.
Yeah, and
But
then it's the whole like my brother now comes back on the scene because he's the going to be the son-in-law, or the is it his niece, is
it's
Harlander's
he's
niece.
Hollander's niece, and
Yeah, so he's marrying Harlander's niece, which is Elizabeth. So I love the fact he swapped out the fact that this brother, that it's the brother that marries, is betrothed
because
to.
it keeps the distance, and the where does her affections actually lie
Yeah.
between, there's no, there's more complexity there. What I loved as well is that there was no animosity towards the brother.
Mm.
He says it so many times, I love my brother more than I love life. Don't think that necessarily is true, but that is
Yeah.
what he kept repeating. And you do get you get Mia Goth's Elizabeth, who just kind of fucking stand him to start with, really. Like, she is of, I think this woman is of science,
Hmm.
and of realistic science and nature, and the fact that this egomaniac or egotistical creationist is possibly something that is not in her education or in her league. So there's a very straight conflict right there and then as they first meet. Even though he does win her around because he is fucking charming, incredibly charming.
I think he's intrigued with her because she has a passion for life, and he'd been so deep in death for so long trying to
Mm,
reanimate and prove his point.
hmm.
She was just this fresh take on everything that the opposite of what he was doing. So
Everything, yeah.
for Elizabeth to come in and give like this fresh set of opinions and eyes, it was so easy for him to palm his brother off on, yeah, you go sort the water tower out, you make this, you
Oh
put
yeah,
these here, you do that, you work away, and then he's sneakily working on Elizabeth because he thinks he's going to snatch her, even though he loves his brother till the end of earth, or till the day
end
he
of
dies, whatever.
time.
He's bullshit. You're trying to steal his missus from underneath him.
You really, really are.
And I love the fact that the one thing she says to him, something along the lines of, for somebody who knows as much as you do about the human body and the human heart, you know nothing about how
Hmm.
it truly works. And
Yeah.
it's just like, that was a hell of a poignant line because he kept going to kiss her, and it was like, dude.
No, she made it. That's it when it came to her, for all that she has, and I think this really represents the a lot of her coloring choices as well. She made her choice.
Mm.
She
The
very
company
much,
she
yeah.
kept with him was a friendship because she was so excited that someone was passionate and could see life through a different set of eyes,
Hmm.
but also had, like you say, the science knowledge that she had
Hmm.
that was passed down to her from Hollander, and the amount of because she was lucky enough to have an education.
Yeah.
Um, she was well versed in everything. She could read. She just knew, and it was nice for her to have somebody she could share that passion with. And
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was like
think
an intellectual friendship.
and that's where the line ended with her.
Yeah.
But Victor didn't realize, and then
No, he can't determine, or he can't see that she was literally out for a friendship and not a relationship.
yeah.
But what she does do is she gives what he is stuck on is actually getting the creature to stay alive.
Mhm.
That's and it was something that she said to him about symmetry,
Mhm.
and that's where he realizes within the span, because he knows that the 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 connection is through the spine,
Yeah,
but he can't quite figure out or pinpoint the part of it, and she kind of gives him that, and it's something when he's standing completely naked, very much appreciated. It's when he's going across his back and he starts to realize that your back's not symmetrical.
yeah.
It's quite, and then he starts feeling, and that's when he realizes, and that's when he then all of a sudden, boom.
That was the most horrific thing to watch, but the most fantastical, like breathtaking thing at the same time. It was
It was
like,
beautiful to watch
this
to
is
watch that
horrifying, but
spine.
I need to watch this now. And it had no jaw. You
No,
didn't realize until it reared up the body that there was no jaw. on
Nothing
that
there,
at all.
nothing there. But to watch that spine and rib cage come up and move, and oh my good God. But that's obviously when everything starts to change, and then he starts to. I love the corpse collection. I love him going to the hanging and looking at these men and was like, oh, maybe
Yeah.
you.
And another character, another person, actor arrives there. He was the guy in Pacific Rim that played against Charlie Day.
Is he? Is he? Is he? Is he? He is in Game of Thrones as well.
Yes.
He's the rat-looking guy. I think he's oh yeah.
I don't know. I
I
forgot.
know exactly who you mean. He's been in all sorts. He's a character who he's got such a distinct face as well.
Yeah, he plays normally horrible characters, but he played the posh guy in Pacific Rim alongside Charlie Day's character, which was also a Guillermo del Toro movie. So he he was brought in from that to play that do that little cameo part in that. And I've seen him. He was at Heroes and Villains a couple of years back, and he walked past us, and it was give or take a year or so after Pacific Rim.
If I said Burn Gorman,
Yep, that's it. Yep.
yeah, Burn Gorman, yes, he's got such a distinct
Hmm.
face. Yes, Carl Tanner, that was it. Carl Tanner, he was the guy who killed the guy who was impregnating all his daughters. Can't think of his name off the top of my head, but yeah, he's a great character actor, fantastic character actor.
So when I saw him, I was like, I don't know why we've talked about this a lot, and I'm only going to talk about this quickly. How many directors recently that we've talked about have
Hmm.
this incestuous relationship with all of their actors, and
Yeah,
how they go back to using the same guys in their behind the scenes and the same actors in front of the camera. And I think it's great that
I love it.
they have this relationship. But also, I love the fact that he took the chance on Mia and he took the chance on Jacob.
And Oscar. Like Oscar's not one of his regulars.
No, that's true, but he wrote the part of this Victor with Oscar in mind. He it was
But
Oscar was always the person he wanted to play Victor.
does Oscar really need the Del Toros of the world to help him with his career right
Oh,
now?
100% no. No, Oscar the thing about Oscar though is he proved that he can do pretty much anything from
Mhm. He is
Poe
such a
Dameron to
chameleon.
Moon Knight
Oh my God,
to
yeah.
Ex Machina, which is already this is
Oh my God, that is very, very much similar in style
yeah.
and themes to this.
Ex Machina itself, if you've never seen it, is a very strange film, and
It's
I
brilliant
don't know
though.
why it took me a second to realize that was Oscar Isaacs because he has a bald head and a big beard, and
There
I'm like,
was, yeah, there was something. Yes, I did because he reminded me of somebody else, and I can't quite think of who that
yeah,
is off the top of my head right now. But he
and
did.
it's
Ex
Fassbender's wife, isn't it, that played Laura Croft?
yes,
She played
yes.
the robot, and then
Oh,
is
one of the Weasley brothers.
he is
It's Donald Gleason,
Donald Gleason. He is Mad Eye Moody's real life
son.
son in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah.
Brendan.
Brendan Gleeson. Yeah. Domhnall is. He was in Star Wars with
Yep.
Oscar Isaac. Honestly, if you can compare, if you actually put these side to side, there's a lot of similarities between the two because obviously life being created and then kind of having to be with Ex Machina, it had to be proven
Mhm.
because it was the AI experiment, wasn't it? Where could she be? Yeah, but then it could have been taken away from her. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between the two.
And
Um,
that's what Del Toro saw him in as
that
this
makes a lot of sense.
egomaniacal
Yeah.
God complex creator,
Hmm.
and thought, right, okay, he would be perfect for Victor because he
No,
has
I
got
do.
that thing I need.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get it. I love Ex Machina. I think it's such an underrated. Even I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but it is something that really needs to be watched. I loved him in Dune when he played Paul Atreides' dad. I can't think of what his name is, Mr. Atreides. He's only in it for short
Daddy,
periods of time.
as I'm
Daddy
sure many people call
Daddy
him
Atreides. Oh yeah. You all these women want Pedro Pascal. Just give me Oscar Isaac. I will be happy with that.
I'm still gutted to this day. I was in the same room as him this year and I didn't see him. literally was at Manchester Comic Con, Oscar Isaacs, and my brain went, "Oh no, I won't go meet him this time. I'll meet him next."
What were you thinking?
I wasn't, clearly, because I'm stupid.
Clearly. So yes, where were we?
We
Oh,
got
the
to the
cre
bit where he's just about to climb up the top of the weather vane and
So yeah,
electrical
because he's been getting all of these people, and he realizes he needs something tall, long limbs, because he needs this thing to be
imposed.
very
Yeah,
imposing, exaggerated. And he is just about to. Oh, is he ready? No, is he ready? Because, or does Christoph Waltz kind of force him into it because he's ready for his part of the deal to be
yeah.
done?
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of half and half because he realizes there's a storm coming, and in his
Mm-hmm.
head he's going, "Do you know what? I could do this. I could do this. Tonight's the night. I'm gearing up. I'm going to do it." And he makes that decision to do the corpse then, and
Mm-hmm.
then Wolves comes in and throws the curveball, and he's like, "You need to make me a monster now." And he's like, "No, please no."
No.
And then the whole thing happens where one of the rods gets slightly bent, doesn't it, in the fight? So Isaac's like Victor's always thinking that that was the thing that went wrong to make the creature stupid.
Yeah, he honestly he'll shift the blame anywhere in order to completely not take responsibility for what he actually did in the first place. So yeah, the big fight occurs. Christoph Waltz he's gone basically,
Long
along with
call.
his head, and there's no bringing him back. But he doesn't tell anyone straight away.
Mm-mm.
Crafty little bastard that he is. But what
Yeah,
he does do is create his monster, or I'm not going to call him a monster because he is anything but a monster in the traditional sense. He is a creature. He is a beautiful creature who he tries the father approach, but he's just too impatient. Like you said earlier, he wants it there. He wanted it done yesterday, and it unfortunately for someone who is new to the world, it doesn't work like that. And he time and patience, which he is very much lacking. So when it's not going his way, he's ready to discard him like fucking yesterday's paper. He tells his brother what has happened, and his brother, this is where he drops the bombshell that Harlander's dead because the creature killed him,
he's a
clearly.
dirty piece of work at this point.
This is disgusting.
He
There
does
is
it a couple of times to the creature, though, doesn't he?
he would, yeah, because it's shifting responsibility, it's shifting blame, and is what he's very, very good at.
Mhm.
Um, Even though he blamed his father for his mother's death when clearly that was not it was something that was completely out of his control. Um, but yeah, he confides in his brother that the creature has killed Hollander, but in the meantime, Mia Goth is Elizabeth has actually met him, and there is a con not a there is a connection because clearly that is something that is evident later on, but there's so much of an understanding of because she does the whole this is your throat, like she tries to teach him something that he's never had. He can say one word, which is Victor.
And I love the way when she's arguing with him in the hallway and he says,
Hmm.
"Stop going and seeing him, it's not good." And he's like, "Something went wrong with him, he's stupid, he's dumb, he can say one word." And she's like, "Had you thought that one word could mean everything to him?" And I'm
And
like, yeah, that word Victor meant go to sleep.
every
It meant leave me alone. It meant
Mhm.
I love you. It meant I'm hungry.
Yeah,
That one word covered so many things. It was the inflection he was using to express
mhm.
what he wanted within that one word.
It was
And he
everything.
wasn't patient enough to learn what that meant.
No, no, and it was everything to him. So yeah, Victor decides that he's gonna basically get rid of him because what else is he gonna do? Burns the house down, um, but doesn't. Well, we don't know this yet, but he burns the house down.
I think he gets a bit of a guilt feeling though, because he hears him screaming for his name. So he turns around and
There's
tries to
pain
bring
in
him.
them eyes,
Yeah. Like Victor turns around and gets like this pang of guilt for doing it. And so he goes back in like
and then
and then this is where he loses his leg. And my God, I was not expecting that. I was like, oh,
ooh, whoa,
having
yeah.
his like lower limb hanging off underneath his knee. And by the way, good, amazing CGI on that. If it was CGI, if it was practical, amazing. Just genuinely.
I have a feeling it's a mixture of both. I really do. Yeah, so that's how he loses his leg, and that's where we leave Victor's story.
Mhm.
And at the time, this is when, because when on the boat, he's obviously been explaining this to the captain, and he does tell the captain at the beginning, if he gets back on the boat again, you need to give him to me because I can't have any more airmen. There's a lot, this Victor, this part of Victor, there's a lot of guilt
Oh yeah,
because
this
he's got a lot to be guilty for.
and it's
Um,
happening, isn't it?
yeah, and this is when he gets back on the boat, and the creature now talking fluently says you've only heard one side of the story, and decides to give his. And I love this transition. Don't get me wrong, I loved being in Victor's world for a minute, but the more it got into how devious and evil and despicable he was, the more I wanted to be out of it. And I was so refreshed to be with the creature, to where it was, there was nothing but, there was death on this side and life on this side. And I love that balance. The creature story, just it starts with his creation, and obviously the fact that the house blows up, and he then is on his own, completely and utterly on his own. He doesn't know what this is to that is, but he manages to find a home where he understands that this isn't good, because clearly father didn't like this enough to stick around. So he finds a home that is very enriched in spirituality, because they believe in the man in the forest, or the god of the forest.
Spirit of the forest, yeah.
Spirit of the forest. I even said the word, spirit of the forest. And he hides out in their home, and through David Bradley learning his blind, or
He's
his,
teaching David
no,
Bradley.
David Bradley is blind. It's the
Yeah,
child who's learning to read.
yeah, and basically he knew the whole time there was someone in there, so he was teaching him the
Like,
same
yeah,
thing.
he's sixth sense, man.
Yeah. So he was like, that's when he was turning the card around. He knew what he was
Yeah.
doing. He was teaching the creature as well as teaching his granddaughter, and so that's how the creature learned to speak. It's how the creature learned to um express himself, and so he then had a conscience, and he decided he wanted to give something back, which I thought was really a lovely sign. Like, he fixed their fence, he
Like I
gave them
say,
firewood.
I could have stayed here forever.
And this is the thing for me. This is the part where, okay, yeah, at this point he wasn't accepted wholeheartedly, but they left him offerings. They gave him clothes, they made him human, they gave
This
him food.
this is the time in his life he was the most happiest.
Yeah, because there was no judgment. There was no, when he was reading Milton, Paradise Lost with David
Well,
Bradley,
yes, because the family end up having to go off
because the
for.
wolves kill the food, so they go and chase
That's
the
right.
wolves.
Yeah, so they're going hunting, and they ain't coming back for a while. So within that time, he then develops this beautiful relationship with David Bradley,
Mhm.
where he does get him to read the most beautiful poetry. Like the dialogue in this is pure poetry, the whole of it. But this section alone, he's starting to get an education, and starting to really get versed up in the world.
Yeah, and
Um,
God, what God means and what religion is, and how it's okay not to follow that at the same time and have your own understanding of things.
ask questions, have
Mhm.
opinions, have debates, have conversations, and he's starting to get all of this from this beautiful man, which is then sadly taken away from him when
Because
the.
the thing is, he has the discussion with David Bradley, says to him, go find out who you are.
Mhm.
Now you can express these things, go find out. Because I don't know how long it is between when the fire happens and then when he finds it, because he has very long hair at this point, but because he can regenerate, I'm not sure if he
But
ages.
and you, yeah, and if you're starting to notice what he looked like from the fight, from the after the fire, to what he looks like now, not just the long hair, but his face is starting to change. It's starting to take shape. He's starting to get, the more the movie, the more that you spend time with him in his story, the more you start to see him turning into a human.
Yeah.
And I love, by the end of it, you can clearly see the nose, like his nose starting to get skin round here, and
but it's the way he finds out through the wreckage about Victor. He knows the address. He's seen pictures of him that Christoph Waltz was taking when they were making him, and he knew what he was then. So he comes back and then finds David Bradley being ripped apart by wolves, and
Goes tits
then
up from there, basically.
and then he literally degloves a wolf. He completely like rips the skin. That fight scene, insane.
And this is why I needed that to be the way it was, because if I had to imagine, if I had to see it looking so real, I would be scarred.
But then the trappers come home to find, and they blame him straight away.
Well,
So
obviously he's easy target.
he kills the guy that looks like Pocahontas, and then he gets shot, and he doesn't know how long he was dead for, but he said it was bliss, and it was just dark.
Because it was nothing.
And then he makes a comment about when he came round about how he realizes he's now got to face the world alone again, and it's just like this emptiness.
And
so
he basically goes to find Victor, who is at his brother's wedding, and he manages to get to him in order to. There's only one thing he wants from him. He doesn't want any. He just wants a companion. He knows now he knows what friendship is,
and he knows what loneliness is.
And he doesn't want to go back there. So he wants a companion. He's not asking for Elizabeth, by the way.
Nope.
That's not what he's asking for. He's just asking for someone or something to keep him company, because he doesn't want him. That's for fucking sure.
It's the fact that goes to the fact that Victor automatically goes to what to procreate, to replicate yourself. It's like he automatically goes to it makes it sexual. Like he wants a partner, like a physical partner. And it's like he's not asked you for that. He just wants a friend.
Yeah.
Which you could be.
You could have done that. And how many times did fucking Mia Goth try to give you that? But no, would you listen? No, because your ego is too big and too fragile. And oh, you tit. So yes, there's Elizabeth does find him in her beautiful bride dress. It was the minute I saw the arms.
Yeah, same. I went, I know what you're doing.
Oh my God.
Did you notice the hair color?
There was also one bit of her costume that didn't change, and I love it. And this is how I should have known the necklace. I should have known this that she played his mother. I should have this because it was the red necklace, and red represented the mother. And I was like, oh my God. And it was the one thing that never changed on it. I thought it was horrible to start with. And I was like, ooh, what a really weird choice for when she's wearing the green dress. And that it wasn't until later, and I was like, ah, shit, okay, that's why. So yes, they have this beautiful moment where I don't even think they get a chance for her to even realize how far he's come before before Victor's got a gun, and she makes a choice.
Jumps in front of.
She would rather him live than her, because for all I think Elizabeth made choices. I think she might have been happy with them, but she wasn't going to go against them. That wasn't in her
No, because that's what she even says to him when Victor goes in and tries to say, I'm so happy you're going to be my sister-in-law, but why did you deny me? And she's like, I've made my choice. And he's like, but you're not going to be happy with this choice. She's like, but I've made my choice. But there's one line she says when all this crap has kicked off and everybody's trying to fight each other. After basically what happens is William walks in to find Victor sitting there disheveled on the floor, and the creature's like throwing people around left, right, and center because Victor blamed the creature for shooting, for killing or hurting Elizabeth. So Victor throws William. I think it's not Victor. The creature throws William. William hits his head, and so the creature then walks out holding Elizabeth, and Victor speaks to his brother, and he's like, I've got the quote here of what his brother says to him in that moment. And Victor's like, I can make you better, I can save you, I can save you. And William says to him, I fear you, Victor, I always have. Every ounce of madness and destruction, the very conflagration that devoured everything, it all came from you. You are the monster. and then he dies.
I love that line so much. I wish it was Elizabeth who said it. But no, I wish it was Elizabeth who made him realize he was the monster, but it didn't necessarily have to be his brother, his living blood, his living relative.
Yeah.
Um,
She says something though when the creature lays her on the rock in the in the cupboard in the
mm,
cave. She says something like, "I'm not for this world," or I don't
no,
belong in this world," which it felt like a hark to the bride at the end where
we
um
belong dead.
the monster says we belong dead, and it felt like a take on that where
Yeah.
when she dies, um which I thought was a really kind of
I feel like a bit choked up about thinking about it because it is very that this so because this is I've said it many times. Victor is such a complex character, but the realization of his brother telling him he is the monster is basically the downward spiral for Victor in the sense of I either have to get rid of him
Mhm.
or get rid of myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, the once Elizabeth is gone, which breaks the creature,
Mm.
he then goes on a hunt for him and is going to kill him,
Mm.
which is ridiculous because he there is so much more to him than what he was previously that you are basically murdering for murder's sake now.
Mhm. And then
Um,
Victor's trying to track him down. He's tracking Victor down. And then you have this absolutely
it's like
stunning shot across the frozen tundra where the sun's almost gone down.
mm,
See the silhouette of him. Now,
mm-hmm.
that was a pure fluke. It was a pure fluke
Oh,
shot
really?
because they had like, I think they said they had like a minute of light
Mm-hmm.
left, and they only had 32mm left on the camera. They didn't have any other things
Yeah.
with them. And Guillermo went, film it. And
No.
the DP was like, I don't have any enough. He went, I don't care what you get, film it. And so they filmed that him, Jacob, just standing there.
Mm,
Wasn't supposed to be in the movie. It wasn't scripted. It wasn't planned. But they slowed the film rate down, so it went from like 10 seconds of the sun going down and then completely losing light to being 30 seconds of shot because they managed to hold it and make the scene go slower. So that beautiful thing was a completely unscripted by chance shot that he got
oh,
just out of
oh,
off the cuff. And
that is
that,
amazing.
yeah, and to me, that whole situation that comes after this where he finally catches up with Victor,
Mm-hmm.
I thought Victor was after him, but it looked like he was after Victor. And
It's
it's
like a
like,
really bad game of cat and mouse at this point. You don't
yeah.
know who's after who.
And like you're at the point where you can understand and empathize with the
Yeah.
creature because everybody he's loved has lost. He's lost.
Oh, yeah. He's so angry. He
Mm.
knows what anger is, and I don't think he wants to be,
Well,
but
because he says that,
he hasn't been given any other choice.
no, he says that line, doesn't he? If you are not to award me love, then I will indulge in rage, and mine is infinite.
Yeah. Oh, oh, yeah.
So, because he knows he can't die.
No. Yeah, he's fully aware of that. Um, but yeah, so and this is kind of where we meet up with the boat
Mhm.
because and the story then comes into full fruition and we're in the boat and he's told his story and the captain's like, well, what now? What now? You're both standing here in front of each other. Um, but Oscar is on the way out. Victor is dying and he wants his son by his side, basically. The realization of retelling his story and hearing out loud possibly has made him think, shit, I did this all wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. And if I did do it, maybe I should have nurtured it and not left it to nothingness.
He was looking for his absolution, though. That's the thing about Victor. What he required from the creature was to be absolved of everything he's done and say it's all right.
I don't think he deserved it.
He did not deserve it, not one little bit.
Not
But
one
that's what
iota.
he wanted. But
Hmm.
the creature understood enough that that's what he needed to hear. So when he asked him to call him by his name, it
He
was
said,
him
oh,
saying, I love you. It was him
it
saying
was the well, it was the
everything that he wanted to hear in the one word.
that is one of my favorite lines. Say the word that once meant everything to you. And he says Victor, and oh yeah, I can feel my nose tingling. That was the moment I started crying. Like, I mean, buckets full. I rolled a tear now and again but I cried buckets full when he said that last line. And yeah, he dies, and that's it for Victor, and that's really it for our creature, because he leaves the ship alone. He doesn't hurt any more of the men. He actually helps them because they've been stuck in ice, and he pushes them back into the water, and the captain announces that they're going home.
Yeah,
And
because the captain had no intention of going home. He wanted to push forward. And Victor said, "You're just like me. You're just like me." So the captain learnt through the story, actually, I don't want to be like him.
Yeah.
No,
No, fuck that.
let's
Fuck
go.
that. Yeah, so then the creature walks off into the sunset or the sunrise. I can't quite tell at this point which I think it's sunrise. And he's starting a new life, a new journey, and this is the shot where you start to see his face, actual face, not the created one, but the one that he has managed to evolve into, and that's Frankenstein. And I appreciate that this episode has been incredibly long, and I am very sorry, but I am actually not sorry
Not
in
sorry in the least.
one bit.
Tough titties.
I needed this. I have we love Frankenstein.
It's our logo.
Yeah, it is our logo.
And
do you know what? Do you know what? He's always been our logo. He was, yeah. How's your bride?
oh, she's looking smashing.
Oh,
Thank
she's
you.
beautiful.
She's I can't really
Absolutely stunning.
show very well on here,
You
but
know, but there is a really good picture on social media. The minute I saw it, I went, "Oh, I know that arm."
yeah, and I'm having His Highness put there. So
Oh,
got a gap just saved
you do.
for
You
it.
have a lovely, lovely spot right there. But yeah, he is our logo. He wasn't alone when we first started. We had him as xenomorph and something else. There was
Probably a
on the look.
gremlin.
If you look at the old logo, there was something else on the side. But then he was then we for season 2 we changed the logo. We had the red background. Now we have our traditional green background. Because green's our color. And yeah, he's been our logos for nearly 3 years. Nearly 3 years. 3 years. But he's the only Universal monster we've not done. So bearing in mind, we started this out because of our love of Universal monsters. We did an episode together actually on my other podcast, the Nerdy Up North podcast, and we did a Universal monster episode. And I wanted to do a dedicated horror one, and the love of Universal monsters basically started this whole thing. But we've never done Frankenstein.
Oh, we still haven't. Technically, this is GDT's Frankenstein. This isn't the
This
Universal.
is not Universal. This is not Boris Karloff's Frankenstein.
So that will come. We are going to do it.
There is reasons behind it. It's not like we've put it off, but
Yeah.
there is we held off doing this episode because a certain someone said he wanted to do it with us, and we like him and love him so much that we said okay. And if he put every obstacle he possibly could in front of doing that episode, even breaking his fucking ankle, but now he's doing movies, and
Yeah, he's a busy man now.
he's a very busy man, so we're going to do it anyway without him. But we do love Tina very much. So I want to hear your 1-star reviews. Do I?
Yes and no.
Oh.
Now, be prepared, because obviously there's always people that hate everything anyone ever does. So I found one on Letterboxd and one on IMDb. The first one is from Letterboxd. It's got 0.5 star from Lewis Floor Spy. And this was written on the 16th of November. So about a week after it came out. Why the fuck was this given Spiderwick Chronicles? Okay, that's that. I can kind of understand what they're saying, but it's nothing like that at the same time. I kind of get it, and that's why I picked it, because I was just like, okay.
I'm really trying to be diplomatic here and remember the speech that I give at the beginning of this episode.
And the second one, are you ready? Because this is something.
Oh,
Um,
gosh.
this got a 1 out of 10 on IMDb from Catherine Showalter. As a producer, Guillermo del Toro is a cheese-eating high school boy who wears the same clothes every day. As a director, Guillermo del Toro is the quiet kid in the back of the class who's not so secretly crushed on the weird, musky goth girl who never recognized his existence. As a writer, Guillermo del Toro is the comic book reading nerd who likes to smell his own farts. And everything else, well, meh. He just makes the same movie again and again, just like the overrated booger-eating Tim Burton, who directs interesting-looking movies that suffer endlessly from the POV of self-absorbed misanthropes. Guillermo del Toro beats us over the head with the idea that humans are the monster, but offers us nothing more than an ordinarily decorated fairy tale take. Frankenstein is a bland and hollow film.
Hmm.
I
I mean,
thought,
everyone's entitled to their opinion.
I give them to, they put a lot of thought into
That
that.
is a that yeah, that is a do you know what? We sit there and we bitch at people who turn around and say, well, that was shit.
Yeah.
So I gotta give credit that they backed up what they said.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of the comments were, "This is nothing like the book, how disgusting." And I was like,
Oh my
it's
God.
better
Oh.
than, "Oh, this was shit." Don't get me wrong. Usually I get that.
Yeah, it's true.
Nothing like the book, but no one ever said it was going to be an ad. No one said it was going
No,
to be a
it's just,
direct make of the book. So for anyone to use that as an excuse, they just need to take a step back.
what part of adaptation don't you get?
But then I suppose we have that little thing with Geen. That's an adaptation, and we get very annoyed with that. But I think that's real life. You can separate that a little bit differently to how this one.
Oh my God, yeah, 100%. This is not real.
Yeah, no, I'm just waiting for someone to call us out in the comments. So I was just preempting
Get
all
fucked.
before. I was just
Okay?
preempting that.
This is not real. This book gets ripped apart, taken to pieces, and dissected in so many ways when it comes down to English literature. That I am not surprised that there isn't 100 more adaptations of it because if everyone takes something from it that is differently. Gain was real life,
Mm.
and it fucking happened. Tell me you've got the 666 degrees of Jake.
I'm going to do it now. Thanks for the
Yeah.
conversation. Okay. Christopher Waltz played the sadistic Colonel Hans Lander in 2009's Inglourious Bastards.
Fuck yeah, you did.
A small part in that movie was played by BJ Novak, mostly known for playing Ryan
Yes.
Howard in The Office, but also
Ryan.
for writing The Office too. He played Harry Sonborn in the Mackie D's movie The Founder, alongside Ron Swanson,
God,
aka
yes.
Nick Offerman, as Dick MacDonald. Nick is married to the hilarious Megan Mullally. Megan's unique voice lended so well to her part as Karen Walker in Will and
Mhm.
Grace. Jack is played by my namesake, Sean Hayes.
Mm.
Sean has a podcast with Jason Bateman and Will Arnett called Smartless. Will Arnett was married to Penelope Ann Miller, who played Brenda in Adventures in Babysitting.
Oh, we got there with with a Lego Batman.
Oh, we did. I'm Batman. And I will say he has probably one of the best Batman voices. He's up there with Michael Keaton for me, Will Arnett.
I would dare say, you know who my Batman is Val Kilmer. I dare say about Val Kilmer, Will Arnett, maybe like
It's
close,
the voice.
like
The
it's
voice.
the voice. It's honestly the Lego Batman movie is hilarious. Even if you just watch it for the string of ridiculous DC characters, which are genuine characters in the DC universe, alone is hilarious. There's one story I want to just say before we start wrapping this up, and it has to be Del Toro has a very this movie, the movie Frankenstein. I want to say favorite movie of the year, my favorite movie of the year. And we're going to get into movies more next week of this year, but this one has been my favorite movie of the year. What got me was the story of his actual father, because obviously this movie is very, held within,
Life
held.
imitating art, imitating life, imitating art, and
Well, he had a very good relationship with his father. It was very traditional, father-son relationship, Latino father-son relationship. But his daddy, back in 1997, was kidnapped. Have you heard this story?
no.
Oh my God, in Guadalajara in 97, he was kidnapped and a ransom of 1 million was put out on his to Del Toro because they thought movie director him making money. No, he wasn't. They did have the 1 million to pay the the ransom, but what they didn't have was the money for the negotiator. His very good friend, his dear friend, one of his best friends, Mr. James Cameron, put the money up for the negotiator in order for them to be able to get his dad back, and they did.
I knew he used to sleep on Cameron's couch, and I know that Cameron introduced him to a lot of movies, especially Peter Jackson movies, which was
Yes.
weird because Dead Alive was one of Del Toro's favorite movies to watch on a long list of movies with Cameron. They used to sit there and
But
get
you wouldn't think that's a Peter Jackson film, though, would you, if you sat
no,
in front of it?
but even just the fact that you wouldn't think that GDT and James Cameron were best friends.
Best friends, yeah. He actually put the money up for the Del Toro family put the 1 million up for the actual ransom, but it was the negotiator fee that they needed, and it was Cameron who put it. Cameron was going to pay the lot.
Mm.
He was going to pay the entirety to get his dad back.
He's done
And
Titanic at this point. The guy's loaded, isn't he?
exactly, he's got money that he doesn't actually know what to do with it. Del Toro paid him back though.
Of course he would.
Of course he did. That's just the kind of person he is. But Cameron never asked for it back, and he was more than willing to just pay the whole lot off just to get his father back to him, which he
He would have been
did.
married to Linda Hamilton then as well, wouldn't he?
Oh, so he was in for a hefty divorce. Fuck, she would have made out amazing if he was
James,
divorced.
yeah, James Cameron was married to Linda Hamilton
Yeah,
when
if
they
they.
did when he did Aliens 2 and Terminator, Aliens and Terminator 2.
Mm-hmm.
He did it, yeah. And so he was married to Linda then. So I don't know whether
Never
they would have been divorced just as he met, like as Guillermo started sleeping on the sofa, or if they would have
potentially
been around. Because that's a weird old
weird
set of
dynamic.
circumstances, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, they never got found. Never found out who kidnapped his dad. Never apprehended whatsoever. Isn't that crazy? I had to share that story. I heard it on TikTok, and then I was like, oh my God, I need to listen to this. And went and did a little deep dive on it. But yeah, James Cameron is a really nice guy. Really good friend. Really
Doesn't come
nice
across
friend.
that way. When
No, he
anybody
doesn't.
about him, they don't have nice things
I
to
got
say.
I got a shock because I'm like fascinated by Titanic and anything to do with it. And I watched a documentary that obviously had him in it, and he was not how I was expecting, like at all. I thought he was going to be a bit of an arsehole, and he really wasn't. Incredibly respectful and knowledgeable, and it was not what I thought. Oh my God, what we're in for here? The most pretentious dickhead in the world, and he really wasn't. So yeah, that was my little last bit. Um, I've loved this. I needed this. I needed to be able to talk about it with somebody because my husband does not care. And he's sick to death of me talking about it. It's consumed my life in the best way possible. I want nothing more to just watch this on repeat. Even though I have stopped myself from doing that, I would have by now, but I didn't want to overdo it to where I was what I have my second favorite now my second favorite movie was my favorite movie of the year, which is The Long Walk. I watched that concurrently every weekend for a very long time, that now I don't want to watch it for a very long time. And I don't want to do that with this film. I want to be able to enjoy it. So, any final words on Frankenstein? You look so tired.
Just my face. No, I am glad he got to make his swan song.
Mhm.
I hope it isn't his swan song. I hope he goes on to do his other passion project, which is the Count of Monte Cristo.
Phantom
Uh,
of the Opera.
yeah,
That's what the rumor mill was. Sorry, I knew it would come
yeah.
because
There's a couple of movies that are being whispered out there. But he has mentioned on numerous occasions he wants to do the
I,
Count of Monte
I
Cristo.
love that story. I
Um,
love such a good revenge story.
so the I don't think he's done yet. He's 60. He's not dead. He's not out. That's nothing.
No, no,
Guy's
I
got a
think
lot of life left in him when you see him being interviewed, and just
yeah,
how happy he is.
he's so happy. So
So
happy.
I'm looking forward to what will come from this.
Mhm.
I hope they get Oscar nominations. I hope
Mhm.
the actors, the set workers, the costumes, the
Ugh,
producers, I hope
everything.
everybody gets some sort of recognition for this because it's a hell of a film. There was a lot of money that went into it though, so
But there was a lot of heart, a lot of soul, Creativity. Oh, there's so many words that like brilliant words I can say, but I'm far too fucking tired to even try and muster them up.
Yeah.
Well,
what are we doing next week?
Well, this has been Frankenstein. Next week we're ending for the year, just for the year. But good God, we're not ending. We got so much more to do. we got so much more to do, but no, next week is our last episode of the year. We've decided not to do a movie, but to discuss the horror that has been 2025.
Not actually like the horror as in politics and all the world.
Fuck no. We're here to escape that shit.
The escapism of horror movies of 2025.
Yes.
What we've seen this year so far.
2025 has been an incredible year for horror, incredible year for movies, for storytelling. It has been one of the best, to the point where I have managed to keep up with this shit this year. I am not playing fucking catch up. So I thought I would capitalize on that and say, Dan, let's talk about the films I've fucking seen, because Jesus Christ, it's a rarity. So yeah, we are going to be talking about the horror movies of 2025 that we've seen, we've enjoyed. I'm not, I can dare say, oh my God, I've got a dent in my fucking microphone. Oh shit, sorry, I dropped my microphone this morning and I've got a dent in the top of it. That's a fucking expensive mic.
Candy. Piece of candy.
My God, sorry, that really distracted us. Yeah, so I can't dare say that there's movies that I've fucking despised. There's a lot that I've had opinions on, but I've not went, oh well, that was fucking shit. No. So that's what we're going to do next week.
Yes.
Great stuff. So this devastated. This episode is available on the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel, along with every other episode that we do. And the premiere is we premiere at 10 o'clock Monday morning, every Monday morning. The audio for that episode is available the same day from anywhere you get your podcast from. If you search Monsters Up North podcast, you'll find us. You'll see Boris. Good old Boris. I don't know if you can actually see, but he does actually sit right here as well. I mean, he's along here, but for me, he's right there too. And it's annoying because whenever I see it, I go, what the hell is that? And it's my sticker. He is down there. So you'll have Bleeding Marvellous.
Yeah, but you've also got imprinted behind you on a 3D.
Oh, shit. Yes, I do. He's right there. He's right there. That was a gift from Paul. And I can't remember the company who did it, but it's absolutely fantastic. And they actually use this as an example of logos that they do. I love it. Thank you. I forgot about that. Sorry. I'm like, what are you looking at? I'm like, you'll have Bleeding Marvellous on your side, and I'll have Monsters on my side. But you're pointing down here. I didn't even realise. I've even got him here. He's fucking everywhere. The links for Bleeding Marvellous, Monsters Up North, Nerdy Up North are where, Dan?
They're down there.
Oh, look at your colour.
Purple and green.
It's her colours.
Well, I'm just not being festive. I've put my foot down. She said, do you want glitter? I went,
fuck no. Oh, is that it?
That's it.
Wow. Again, apologies for the length, but I'm not sorry. And if there's nothing else left to say goodbye, Dan.
I think that the world breaks your heart, but you carry on, particularly in these times when only monsters play God.